Oh, Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everyone! Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Um, Happy New Year! It's good to be back on the closing argument. Happy to be back. It's a new year, 2024. Uh, we are back on the closing argument. Uh, we all made it through to 2024. It's always a good thing to be in the new year. There are many of our friends and loved ones who started 2023 with us, but unfortunately, they did not made it through to 2024. But we give God the glory for sparing our lives to reach this point and to have made it through to 2024. I hope and pray that everyone had a great holiday and you're ready to start the new year 2024 with vigor, good health, and everything that God has to offer them. It's so good to be back and to see the new year. It's a blessing. Through the grace of God, we are back. I want to say thanks to all of our viewers, all of our friends from around the world who make it a duty to come and join us every week to spend the time and to talk about our country and all that's happening in Liberia. It's always a good thing. I know since we've been away, there are lots of news have been around the air. The president, we are exercising his authority on the Constitution, made several nominations to the Liberian Senate, pending confirmation by the Senate. As we're aware, Justice Nangbe asked for retirement, and the president accepted his request, and he nominated the current Attorney General, Frank Musa Dean, to replace him as Associate Justice on the Supreme Court. And also, we lost, as you're aware, we lost the Commissioner General of the LRA, Liberian Revenue Authority, Thomas Dona, and the president, under the Constitution, exercising his constitutional authority, nominated the Deputy Minister of Finance for Fiscal Affairs, Professor Dr. Samora Nyenwolo, as the Liberian Revenue Authority Commissioner General designate. And there have been a lot of debates, a lot of sparkle debates over the appointment by the president. People have, Liberian, as you know, we all will be quick to interpret our own laws. We become lawyers overnight. The Constitution gave the president authority to appoint with the advice and consent of the Liberian Senate. And no matter what time is it, it's a constitutional right to appoint at any time. Lest we forget, President Weah is still president of Liberia for the next 19 days. He's still president of Liberia for the next 19 days. And during that time, he can make any appointments within his constitutional purview. He can also exercise that authority according to what is provided him under the Constitution. So he acted in line with the constitutional oath of office. Some people are saying whatever expedient, using the word expedient, for the president to have made these appointments. Again, it's the president's right to make appointments, and then the Senate should advise, after with the consent, they should advise the president on the appointment he's made, following the confirmation process. As you're aware, the Unity Party filed an injunction on the issue of the Senate proceeding with the confirmation of Associate for Justice Designate Musa Dean to the Supreme Court. And the justice in chamber, Justice Nyenwolo, issued a prohibition to put a hold on the confirmation. But late this evening, the Liberian Senate Committee on Judiciary, chaired by outgoing Grand Cayman County Senator Vani Sherman, said that they will go ahead with the confirmation proceedings for Mr. Musa Dean as a nominee for the position of justice on the Supreme Court's bench, regardless of the Supreme Court action. According to the committee chair, Senator Vani Sherman, the Supreme Court notification didn't stop them from performing their legislative function. The Supreme Court on Tuesday notified the Senate through the pro tem Albert Chair and Vice President Joy Howard Taylor, who is the president of the Senate, of a petition from the Unity Party, a petition for prohibition to be placed on the nomination. The time for the hearing is at 10 a.m. at the Capitol building, I believe. However, the committee said they will hold a committee meeting before the hearing. The Unity Party on Tuesday, they filed a prohibition against the confirmation of President Wia's nominee, Musa Dean. Again, it's up for interpretation, it's up for debate. But again, they are not objecting to the president's authority. He has the authority to appoint. And so we'll see what happens. But we'll wait for the other guys to come in and we can discuss these issues that's trending. And also, I just got this too. The members of the World Bank Administrative Tribunal have elected Judge Janice Bellis as president of the tribunal and judges Stuart Cooper and Lynn Charbonnet as vice president of the tribunal. Now, Stuart Cooper is a Liberian. That's why this thing interests me. Cyril Montgomery Cooper is an international and corporate lawyer. He served as the legal advisor to the president of Liberia, Nobel Peace Laureate Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and as member of the cabinet from 2011 to 2016. Prior to that appointment, he was the first head of the African Development Bank Group's Integrity and Anti-Corruption Office, and earlier served as chief counsel and unit head for good governance. He is the founding editor-in-chief of the African Development Bank's Law for Development Review. He co-led the conception and drafting of documents for the establishment of the African Legal Support Facility, an international organization. Mr. Cooper has written and lectured on international legal matters and, among other works, co-authored a 3-volume treatise on Liberian corporate law. Mr. Cooper has litigated cases at both trial and appellate levels and has served on several boards of directors, including the AFSF Management Board, which he chaired. Formerly, he served as president of the Liberian Chamber of Commerce and adjunct professor of business law at the University of Liberia. He is the chancellor of the Episcopal Diocese of Liberia and the Internal Province of West Africa. Mr. Cooper is admitted as counsel at law of the Supreme Court of Liberia and of the United States of America. Congratulations to Councilor Stuart Montgomery Cooper, who have been elected as members of the World Bank Administrative Tribunal, along with Janice Bellis as president of the tribunal and judges and Lynn Charbonnet as vice president of the tribunal. So I want to congratulate Councilor Cooper. This is remarkable. He's a Liberian who have been elected to this top position at the World Bank Administrative Tribunal. I want to say congratulations, Mr. Cooper, and we wish you best wishes. Keep shining and making Liberia proud all over the world. I want to welcome my dear friend and brother. Happy New Year. The Councilman Winfred Russell. He's one of Liberia's best, and I don't know much to say about this guy. I mean, Liberia, we are proud to have such a man who knows about urban development and whatever you can think about city management, everything you think about. I pray that Liberia will have this man as a city mayor one of these days of our capital city. I can tell you, if this man is ever given an opportunity to be our city mayor, I can tell you, Monrovia will not be the same, man. You have a real city mayor. But Mr. Russell, man, welcome, brother. How's everything? How's the holidays and how's everything at your end?
Oh man, thank you, Tomalin, and Thanks for all of the kind words and the confidence and all of that. It's been good here. I don't know if it's climate change. I'm sure climate change has something to do with it, but it is not snowed in Minnesota, bro. So we've had really great weather. I mean, the entire winter so far. We had a green Christmas or a brown Christmas, depending on how you want to look at it. So it's been good. The new year is great. We're looking forward to a great year. We have a new administration coming in, so there are a lot of expectations. We've been told to manage our expectations, but it's been great so far, and so we're looking forward to a wonderful year. We pray for good health. We pray um, for great opportunities and all of that. So it's wonderful. It's always a great time to join you all year on the closing argument. So thanks for the invitation and thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, it's good. Man. It's good to see you, man. It's always good to have you in our company. Yes, man. As well for the other guys, there are a lot of training issues. But first, you just heard reading about this guy. I'm sure you know him, Seward Montgomery Cooper. He was elected as one of the the members of the World Bank Administrative Tribunal have elected Judge Janice Bellis as president of the tribunal and Judge Seward Cooper and Lane Charbonneau as vice president of the tribunal. You know Mr. Cooper, and I think it's a proud day for Liberia and for him, for he and his family, for such a remarkable achievement.
No, I think I saw that on Facebook earlier today. There are a number of folks, the former Commerce Minister Axel Addy. I heard I saw it on his wall, and I've seen a number of folks commenting. I think this is a very proud moment for Liberia. I know Councillor Cooper. Actually know his son. I didn't know him, but know his son. But this is a wonderful thing, and it's great news for Liberia to see. Whenever Tomalin, whenever I see a Liberian out there shining and making all of us proud, I'm always excited and uplifting the good aspects of the country and just putting Liberia on the map, again in this sort of high profile way. Where this is something to celebrate. So, I mean, congratulations to Councillor Cooper and his family. He worked for the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, though. Is that right? I mean, what did he do there, by the way?
Oh, he was in fact, he was legal advisor to the president of Liberia.
Oh, okay.
Member of the cabinet from 2011 to 2016.
Okay.
And he was the first head of the African Development Bank Goods Integrity and Anti-Corruption Office, and also served as chief counsel for the head of good governance. And he had a lot of positive accomplishment and so forth. So he's well-rounded, and trust me, he's also the chancellor of the Episcopal Diocese of Liberia and internal province of West Africa. Yeah, and he's also an adjunct professor of business law at the University of Liberia, and also the former president of the Liberian Chamber of Commerce. So he's come to this position with a lot of experience and somebody who is
there are a lot of experience under his belt, it sounds like.
Yeah. But we know we just had elections. We had 19 more days according to the calendar, 19 more days, and Liberia will have the 25th president and the 31st vice president sworn into office at 12 noon on January 22nd. Former vice president and now president-elect Joseph Yuman Boyka and Senator Jeremiah Bankun, they'll be taking the oath of office in 19 days. And they're coming to his inauguration. They are preparing for it, and we are yet to hear any cabinet appointments. And we know they have already having discussion for who will be in the cabinet and so forth. But so far, what do you make about all of these things that's going to happen in the next few days or few weeks or so?
Well, looking forward to it. I mean, this is a momentous time. I mean, uh, a great time in our country, seeing the transition taking place, the smooth electoral democratic transition. So we're looking forward to, and like I said earlier, there are a lot of expectations. So we managing our expectation, or we at least told to manage our expectation as best as possible. But this is something that I think the entire country is looking forward to this smooth transition that is likely to take place, that is taking place. And we also looking forward to the naming of the first cabinet positions. I think there have been a lot of rumors about who's going where and who's going to be doing what. So it's going to be interesting to see who goes to some of the key position, about who will be on some of those the top list or short listed for some of these top high profile positions. So we are always we'd always checking our messages and saying, what's there to come. I mean, we're hearing a lot of names, and some of the names are great that we are hearing of people who will be joining this new administration. So it's exciting. I think it'll be a good time, Tomalin. It'll be a good time. It'll be, I mean, at least from some of the lists I've read, and whether those are true or not, we don't know. But the folks on those lists, the names I'm seeing on those lists, it gave me a really good hope for optimism of what is to come. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, I heard your name too, though. I think I saw a list with your name on it as for mayor designated for the city of Monrovia, and I just sent the vice president elect the link to this show, so maybe he watch the show, and so they will. I mean, I hope they can, but then they will not release the information out. But I know your name is one of those keep popping up for Mayor of Monrovia, City of Monrovia, and honestly, that's a position that should be apolitical. It should not be about politics. It should be about the good of the country and about our city. And if Liberia needs, especially our capital city, honestly, not because people would think because I'm being biased, my friend, but honestly, if I have my own will, man, I would be glad if they nominate you for that position. Because honestly, looking at your work you have done in America and in Liberia too, besides that, you are being involved with a lot of good things for the country. In fact, the president-elect, somebody who knows you personally, you are doing his time as vice president. You assisted him a lot, make a lot of contacts with them in Minnesota. We got the fire trucks that was sent to Liberia, the fire crew that went there, a lot of stuff you have done. And I'm sure, I can tell you, many Liberians will be happy if you hear your name. And I pray, I hope that if they are listening and watching the show, they should really consider you, because honestly, I pray that happens, because that would be that. I mean, I would know that we are on the head in the right direction. But again, I'm not in the government, I'm not in the party. And so
I thanks again, Tomalin. Thanks for the kind words. I mean, what I would say is that we all we have been told that we are looking for the brightest minds and the best folks to step up and show up and contribute their quota to the development of the country. So I'm willing. I'm available to. I mean, whenever the call is made, I'm willing to work with the incoming administration and the president elect. We've worked together when he was vice president during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, and we have a good working relationship. In 2021, when he was at at the City Council of Brooklyn Park. He visited us, so he's a good friend of Brooklyn Park. A lot of people here know him. We work together. So the best we can do is that, at the end of the day, his decision, but we just have to make ourselves available. And I would just call upon all Liberians who have something to offer, who are subject matter experts or who have expertise in a particular area. I think it's incumbent upon all of us, to make ourselves available. Now, we may not get chosen or selected to any the particular position or so, but I think it's a good thing, for the country, for all of us, if we step forward and try to make ourselves available. So if the vetting, after the vetting process is done and it is determined that maybe we will be a good fit in the health sector or the agriculture sector or within the tourism sector or whatever sector they think that we will be best needed for, we will be grateful. We will offer our services and we step forward to work for the country and for the people and for the administration to contribute our quota to the development of the country. So I appreciate your support and your confidence and the support and confidence of a lot of people out there, and the president-elect. So we just wait for him to make that decision. But we are passionate, and we have the connections, we have the experience, and we think that if the opportunity avails itself, we will step forward and work assiduously to ensure that our capital city is put on the trajectory to becoming a great city in Africa. So thanks, Tomalin. Thanks for the encouragement, and thanks for the kind words.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Russell. Okay, our guys are coming, and everybody's rushing to make the trip. They'll be on the show soon. But let me just start off with this. Article 54 of the Liberian Constitution. By the way, we are live on True FM 96.1 and also Hot FM. We are live, and also they are simulcast in other local stations in Monrovia and throughout Liberia. So if you're in Liberia, you can tune in to True FM and Hot FM to get the closing argument live. Okay, Article 54 of the Liberian Constitution says the president shall nominate and, with the consent of the Senate, appoint and commission cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, and assistant cabinet ministers, ambassadors, ministers, and consuls. He can also appoint the Chief Justice and Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and Justice of subordinate courts. Okay, now the president. Now I'm bringing Article 54 because there have been this debate that President Weah, by him appointing Attorney General Musa Dean to replace retiring Justice Nangbe, people are questioning the president's authority. They are using words like expedient, and I don't know, but the Constitution didn't talk about expedient. Say the president. The Constitution is clear, says that the president shall nominate with the advice and consent of the Senate, appoint. So, what's your take about this recent appointment by the president on the Supreme Court bench?
Yeah, that's I know that's trending now, and that is that is something that is getting a lot of traction across the political landscape. It is true that the president will be president until the 21st or the 22nd. So he constitutionally has the authority to appoint or nominate whoever he wants to nominate. And it sounds to me that is within that vein that he's doing that. But I think one of the things that a lot of people are talking about, and especially when it comes to Minister Musa Dean, is because they think that he has been very unethical in many respects in a number of things that he's done as minister. He's not spoken up about the number of issues, a number of things that have been happening, in the country. He's not lent his voice to it. I mean, the case with the ANC CPP leader, Mr. Um, that I went through that he will more or less railroaded it. I mean, some people are saying, and Musa Dane didn't step forward and challenge that whole thing. I mean, his solicitor general was eventually sanctioned partly because of his role in all of that. So those issues and many other issues, I mean, they were pointing to, and so a lot of people think that, yes, the president may have the right constitutionally to do that, but they think that for the sake of keeping the country together, we had a very bitter, divided elections. I mean, I know there's something totally different, but we had a very bitter, divided election. So some folks are saying, look, in the interest of brotherliness, in the interest of togetherness, and all of that, President Weah can defer the appointment of this associate justice of the Supreme Court to the incoming president. So sort of a goodwill. So I mean, he doesn't have to. He's not mandated to do that, but they're just trying to appeal to his good graces and his good consciences to think that, look, because this guy he's appointing, he's a very polarizing figure, and so there are a number of folks. I mean, even the guy from finance. I mean, a number of folks see him as being very, very polarizing, and he may have done some shady things, and they don't think that the 10-year position that the president, even though that's his right, it is within his constitutional right to do that. They just think that it would be a good thing that if he were to defer and just let the incoming, President-elect Boakai, when he becomes, president, when he's sworn in, that he should have the opportunity to do that.
Well, before we continue this discussion, let me welcome Dr. Peabody and the birthday guy, Lofa Julius. The guy celebrated his birthday on New Year's Day, and looking like fresh money. Fresh money though. And Lofa, man, and those who are born the first day of the year, they are blessed. They are people who are blessed though. So want to say happy birthday again, man. I know I saw you. You know how to explain it. I saw you celebrated the birthday, man. You celebrated in style. That's great, man. And just praise God for your life, and God bless you, and happy New Year, and welcome again to the closing argument again.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Lofa. I have a brother who also shares the same birthday as you do too. So it's a wonderful time, I'm sure, to have your birthday on the first day of the year.
Yeah, and it's easier to be forgotten though. Like
I know too, right? You get caught up in all of the celebration.
Everybody go, but it was great. Happy New Year! Good to be back here. Hope everybody, again, we are energized, ready to do the people's job. Again, I want to extend heartfelt appreciation to all the people who celebrated the birthday, my birthday with me, and all of the text messages, phone calls, posts that were made on the social media. I appreciate everything, and thank you all for appreciating the little things that we do. It means a lot to all of us. So thank you all. Great to be here again, to be a part of this conversation. Hopefully we can have we can go to the very bottom of it, because there are a lot of things that are happening, unfolded in Liberia, that we need to bring to the public's attention, and just hopefully give our views on that. And I think that's why we are here today. Hopefully we can do the best we can, and give the people all we can.
The Peabody, man. Maybe you want to your intro before we continue the discussion.
Lofa, good. Happy birthday, man. Wish you many more years to come. Good to see you, my Councilman Russell. It is always a delight to see you. And welcome to the closing argument. But it's good to be back on this Wednesday after a long week of break. We've been all chilling, gift, and visiting folks, family, all of that. But it's just good to be back, Tomalin, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with our conversation here today.
Yeah. Let's get back to the discussion. We talk. This is trending news. The two important news that's trending now is the appointment of the nomination of Councillor Frank Musa Dean, who have been the Justice Minister for the last 6 years in the outgoing CDC government, and there have been a lot of controversy behind his nomination. But for me, I come from from the point where I support the president's rights to exercise constitutional authority. And again, if Liberia was attacked on January 20th, President Weah will still be president. He's still the commander in chief. He will still have the right to respond to that attack. So but again, people are saying that he should defer his appointment. It's not expedient, and all kinds of language is made. But first of all, the man being appointed is one of Liberia's best legal minds. People may question his performance as Minister of Justice. It's another room for debate, but he's qualified, one of the best in our country. How he handled his affairs as Justice Minister and Attorney General for 6 years, that's another place for debate. But the president nominated a qualified jurist to be the Supreme Court Justice. But again, I'll give us the time. Maybe we'll take 2 minutes each to just discuss the weighing on the president nomination of Councillor Dean. We can start with Mr. Russell, then with Lofa, Peabody, Keff, then we all can chime in. There are 2 minutes each, guys, also can make it better.
Yeah, it's very interesting, folks. I do agree with Tomalin. I do agree, and we do agree with a number of folks. The president does have the constitutional, authority to do what he is doing. So there is nothing illegal about what the president is doing. So we should get that clear. There's nothing illegal about what he's doing. But the argument that folks are making on the other side is that, granted that this is legal, is within his constitution, within the constitutional confines of his authority to do what he's doing. They just prefer that he were to defer to Vice President Boakai, who is the incoming president, to make those nominations. They think that in the interest of togetherness and brotherliness and everything else, that it will be a good thing for him to do that. I don't think that it's up to him. It's up to President Weah to do that. But I don't think that it is because people are talking about him doing anything illegal. There was nothing illegal that he did. I mean, they think that it was not politically expedient. Politically expedient for him to allow President-elect Boakai, when he becomes president, to do that. And of course, they were pointing at a number of lapses that occur during Minister Dean's tenure as Minister of Justice. And they were also looking at Deputy Minister Wolokoli and some of the things that he's alleged to have done or may have participated in. And so they think that there were a lot of ethical lapses that occurred under their watch. And they just think that, because of those reasons, I mean, I think that's part of one of the reasons why there were a lot of people grumbling about this appointment or having, heartburns, more or less over this appointment, but not necessarily because of anything wrong with what President Weah has done and what he is doing.
Yeah, Lofa. We're in it.
Tomalin, I think last week we just kind of we scratched the surface of this conversation, and we knew we were going to get to this point where we had to dig deeper. I like the fact that you mentioned his experience. All right, he said he's one of the most qualified in Liberia who's been appointed, but then you also mentioned the fact that he underperformed in his previous position where he just recently came from. When we discuss qualification, we cannot ignore your most recent performance, because that contributes to what makes you either more experienced or you possess the quality. Now, in this position, I'm pretty sure there are prerequisites that must be met. Would that also help to meet some of those requirement? His previous performance will have to be taken into consideration. The issue of the president's decision, that is well within his constitutional mandate. His right. He's doing nothing wrong at all. And I support the idea. As a matter of fact, I support the idea of the president having to nominate, this individual to go. I wish, personally, I wish Musa Deen, wasn't the one to be selected. I wish we would have done due diligence to find someone probably far better than him to carry on that task. But I think the president is doing exactly what President-elect Joseph Boakai would have loved to do. Okay, I'm pretty sure President-elect Joseph Boakai would do any and everything to make sure that that opportunity is given to him, and that's part of the reason why I heard the Unity Party went to court. Okay, because they want to fight for this opportunity. So President Weah, again, he's a politician. President Weah is not here serving as a humanitarian. This man is a politician. He's playing the role of a politician, and he's actually working his cards right. Look, he's in right now. He's playing chess, and he's actually moving to the best of his ability. Let's see what the Unity Party do. The only concern that I have with the decision is the individual being appointed. The individual being appointed here kind of put him against the wall. Can we find anybody better than this guy? Just considering his record, the most recent. If you can remember, Tomalin, we are human. We tend to not often remember all the good things. The most recent bad ones are the ones we will remember. So when we look back at his recent performance, some of the cases that were discussed, some of the incident that took place, he remained mute. Nothing came out of it. But I think President Weah is doing the best thing. And I think he listened to our advice from the last show when we recommended that he take the opportunity to go ahead and nominate someone to represent the late Thomas Nando, right? But again, the individual he recommended, another individual who I can say allegedly admitted to being a part of a corrupt practice. Hey man, guys, if we must move Liberia forward, we cannot continue to give people second chances, especially people who have tainted characters, because we must stiffen the process to cleaning up and putting Liberia on the right trajectory. And to do that, we cannot do it on friendship or political alignment. We must find the best and the brightest.
Well, okay, before I go to Peabody, I forget those appointed by the president, nominated and confirmed by the Senate, they serve at the pleasure of the president. So Councillor Musa Deen served President Weah for 6 years, and he enjoyed the confidence of President Weah. And despite, that was his boss, so as far as the president concerned, this guy did a remarkable job as Justice Minister and Attorney General. So he enjoyed his pleasure, his confidence for 6 years. And mind you, if the Chief Justice now, Councillor Nyenwolo, she'll be retiring hopefully, I think, by next year when she reaches 70. So you'll be telling you if President Boakai will be appointing 2 Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court. You see what happened in America today. Donald Trump, they appoint 3. And now his fate to be president now lies in the hands of the Supreme Court. So politics, get it. That's why elections have consequences, and it's very important. And President Weah, again, I will continue to defend him for this, no matter what people can say. He have his own reason for appointing, nominating Councillor Deen. But yeah, for Peabody, Peabody, what are your thoughts on this issue about this Councilor Dean appointment nomination?
Well, there's something that people say the law is the law. I will say here that if it's illegal for the president, it's illegal for the president to appoint a Supreme Court justice. Is that part of the law? Is it constitutional? If it is yes, then I don't see a reason why he should not be appointed. And if the Senate deem it necessary that, look, man, this is not in the right interest of the country, then they can deny his nomination. But what I would say here is that Musa Dean, we know, have been somehow favorable to the other side, the United Party. There are reports, undercover reports that we have heard. He have been more sympathetic in terms to parties like the United Party and others. He have been very, very sympathetic, but also he have really stood some ground on when things were going bad. He rejected some things, even with this government. That's one reason he and the police director probably did not get along right. He and the Solicitor General, Serena Sifa, at times had some difficult problems. So because there were some things that he had to reject, there were some things that he had to put in place. But if we are looking at the Constitution here, if we are dealing with the law here, then yes, maybe ethically, we say, this is not, or morally, we say this is not the right time to do it. But if the law is the law, then we must follow the course of the law. I don't know how much the Supreme Court will weigh into this in terms of trying to stop this nomination, but it seems like justice. I mean, the Constitution is at the rightful place, and I'm looking forward to see how this all going to end up. But the law is the law. We saw the Republican doing it in a short period of time. Bringing somebody on, confirming them. We saw how they bar Marlon Garland from taking his seat on the Supreme Court justice. So, I mean, the thing is the law is the law. Unfortunately, we may not like it. Folks did not like Brett Kavanaugh. We have people coming on and talking about what Brett Kavanaugh did. But one thing seems surprising here is I didn't. If our Constitution is similar to that of the United States, I didn't see the U.S. Supreme Court put an injunction on any nomination and stuff like that. I want to say it. I know Liberia is not America, but our Constitution is similar. I didn't see them doing that. And stuff like that. But people came up, wanted to stop the nomination, and that did not happen. So unfortunately, the law, others may not like it. You need to probably say, man, we should be given the opportunity. But unfortunately, that's the law, folks. We can't change it. That's my point.
Well, again, Councilor Dean, Councilor Dean, people may question him, but Councilor Dean, all the investigation that was done, he submitted a report. The people may question the investigation, but he did his job as Attorney General. Councilor Musa Dean, he's credited for helping to maintain the peace and stability of Liberia for the last 6 years. Don't forget, this man he is the current chairman of the Joint Security of Liberia. And many times things were trying to get ugly. He stood there to make sure that the security of the state was intact. In fact, we heard protests. Protest was held. This man gave people right to protest. He defended their right to protest and everything. Again, like I said, as I know we'll get that later on too, as Keff coming right now. But the Unity Party, I think the attempt to go to court is a delayed tactic. They know very well that the president acted in the right thing. The Senate is doing the right thing. And Fanning Sharma is a smart lawyer. Sharma, who's the chairman of the Judicial Committee, he said, look, Supreme Court, yeah, you want to tell us to do our job. Don't forget, they're trying to bring in question the doctrine of separation of powers. So the first branch of government is doing that job, and then they're trying to delay. But again, they hear from Keff.
Well, let me say hi to everybody on the panel. Sometimes when you listen to some stuff, you just kind of I don't know where Liberia is heading to. I really don't know. But I heard my brother, Mr. Russell, saying brotherly love, togetherness. Yeah. You don't choose a Supreme Court judge based on brotherly love or togetherness, my brother. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. There's no such thing like that in the Constitution, or in there's no such. Oh, I heard the Unity Party people saying, uh, talking about morality, talking about this. Uh, you know, the first thing we need to do is to, especially if you're a politician or you got the media space, you have to, you actually have to think about the people, because something that you do or you say you think is going to benefit you, but there's 1,000 of high school students out there who want to be a lawyer, judge, will argue this, because stuff like that could be a landmark case that tomorrow our children will argue this. But when you feed them stuff, then they become dumb out there, because it doesn't work that way. You know, I heard my brother Lofa say underperform. We're talking about the man, as you say, you quite right, Tomalin, that head of the John Security. They keep the peace. We saw freedom of expression all over. I remember one incident where my brother Fagon was said something on BBC on Costa. Musa Din came out and debunked it. What the tension was up in the country. Costa cannot go back this. Musa Din debunked that. He always come out on the side of the law. And let's make that argument. Let's make that argument. I mean, let's make that argument. Can somebody show me where Musa Din underperformed? Let somebody show me. Call Ariel, say, okay, you underperformed. This man, you know, I happen to know him, and professionally, I know that he did his work. Some of his work that some of us say, oh, Musa Din is this. Some people say this, but Musa Din did his work. You have freedom. You have freedom. You have everything. Only I don't know. Maybe some people don't know, but under this government, as Joint Security, Musa Din, the head of Joint Security, that a sitting senator can look at the president and convoy, say, I got stones, we get guns, and he walk free. Under this government, as Musa Din, the head of Joint Security, that Yeke Koloba will insult the vice president and insult everybody. He go free. Under this government, as Musa Din, the head, Yeke Koloba will stop traffic and point finger to police head, which Musa Din is the boss, and point finger and say, "I will. If you point your finger, I will take your gun." A certain lawmaker. The freedom. Can somebody tell me where Musa Din? Some of us were even upset. Why Musa Din is the justice minister? Yeke them doing this thing. And then when I ask, Musa Din will say to me, "It's freedom of speech." So when I see people saying that, I see Unity Party who have more freedom that Musa Din could do something at that time. He said the people deserve that freedom as a Liberian. Then they're saying this. Guys, you don't fall for Unity Party craziness. It's just craziness. I rest for now.
Well, again, as we discussing the issue about Musa Din, we're gonna just talk. We'll bring also in the. I will bring in the issue of the Unity Party position You guys know they filed an injunction calling on the Supreme Court to put a hold on the nomination. But again, the Senate Judicial Committee Chair, Vanning Sherman, this afternoon, Liberian Senate Judicial Committee says it will go ahead with the confirmation proceedings for Mr. Musa Dean as a nominee for the position of justice on the Supreme Court's bench. Now, you know, the Senate is supposed to adjourn. I think when today is Wednesday, yeah, Thursday, or the case I think. And the president, they are president in session because the president invited them, called them back to session, and they are being paid for this too, though. So, Unity Party people believe that they are playing games. They are trying to delay the nomination, so that looking at the time, we have 19 more days to go. But what's your thought, Mr. Russell, about this Unity Party filing injunction? The Supreme Court Justice in Chambers, Councilor Wodokoli, issuing a rule of prohibition, and then the Judicial Committee Chairman, Vanning Sherman, saying, look, we are going to invoke this doctrine of separation of powers. We're going to go ahead with our job. What's your thoughts about what's going on right now?
Well, what I think, as what we've been saying all along, with respect to the nomination by President Weah, the nomination of Minister Musa Dean, like we all have seen, I think we all agree that is within his legal, authority, his constitutional authority to do that, to do what he's doing. I also think it's in that same vein. It is also within Unity Party's legal, authority and legal right to do what they're doing. So we cannot have it both ways. They want to challenge it in court, and I think that's the beauty of democracy. And so, as we're saying, the democracy playing out. We all talked about how President Weah is in his right to nominate the two individuals he did. There were some of us here on this platform who are talking about, we understand that and appreciate that, but only if it was different candidates or someone else, we may be talking something else. I don't think really it is the fact. My sense is, talking to a number of folks, my sense is it's not so much so that they want to deny President Weah that constitutional authority that he has, to be able to make the nomination that he's made. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has a lot to do with the individuals that he's nominated for these two positions. So while it's true that he has the right to do that, it's also true that the Unity Party too, has the right to challenge it and to take this up with the Supreme Court. And so they're doing that. They're within the right to do that. So at least we can hear from the Supreme Court. They will be the final arbiter as to what happens, at the end of the day. But I think they were in the right. They're within their right, Tomalin, to do what they're doing.
Lofa, the Unity Party says President Weah nominated Musa Dean. Unity Party said, oh no, hold on, wait. They go to the Supreme Court. Say, look, y'all don't let them go ahead. Then Justice in Chambers said, look, y'all stop. Y'all don't go ahead with the confirmation. Finally, someone said, we are going to do our job. We're going to go ahead. So what's happening there?
Well, Tomalin, what is kind of comical here about the Unity Party even attempting to do this is just to kind of think about the most recent incident. The same group of people who were asking for extension on the certification process, all right, because the president-elect had to go for a honeymoon, okay, and they did not want to accept the president-elect at the time to, abandon his honeymoon to the United States to come and meet family and friends and thank them and do everything that he needed to do. They cost us whatever extra amount to to postpone the certification program. Now they are attempting again to prolong the process and think that they can just bamboozle their way through it and get what they want. But again, this is part of the test of the legal system that we all pray for all the time. Good thing that they are exercising their constitutional mandates. Go to court, go to court. But this is where the likes of Varney Sherman, who is rare that I ever applaud him for doing or saying anything good because of his records. I would say to him, I must applaud him. Good. These things must be done. But the Unity Party to sit here and say, "Oh, we will stop it." You and I know that President Weah is well within his rights. There is no way. There's no way the Unity Party. I don't understand what they're challenging. Because when I listened to my brother Russell, he said, "Well, they're challenging the nomination or the nominees." Um, who who are they to tell the president who to nominate? Okay, they can't stop the president from nominating who he wants to nominate because Mr. Boycott will have the opportunity. He will have the opportunity to do something similar. So no one would say, "Here, we the people." Of course, we may criticize him. Here we are today. We are talking about the same group of people bringing back people who were in government before. Okay, some of the folks today who are being nominated or appointed to work with the inaugural committee, and some of them, you know their position, you know what they did in previous government, and these are the people to tell president. And the reason I'm saying it is just in response to my brother Russell to say that the reason why they're going to court is because of the nominees. No, the Unity Party stands no ground to hold anybody for that reason. So I think the whole play game that they were trying to go with here is not going to work to their best interest. But again, I'm speaking again as not a legal practitioner. I'm ignorant to that aspect of it. So let us actually, just for a disclaimer purpose, I am not a legal practitioner. I may be ignorant to certain aspects of these things because, again, I don't have that opportunity. But let's be honest here, looking at it, I think they're trying to play this political game that is not going to work to their best interest.
The Peabody, Barney Sherman say tomorrow. I mean, said that they're going to go ahead with the nomination, with the confirmation process. You think they're going to do you consider it define the Supreme Court? Do you consider it?
I think Councilor Sherman is a well-trained lawyer, and he knows what it is to move ahead or don't move ahead. Let me read something that Mariah Yakula just posted. She said the debate is whether the instruction from the justice can serve as a stay order. Senior lawyers say that it doesn't have to state the stay order, but it also implies. So probably it depends on the language that they put in there, and that will give Councilor Sherman. He say, you know what, they're not referring to us. Well, he knows. He's a lawyer. He knows the language. He knows what to refer to. He's no stranger. But what I can say here is, I hope Lofa also made a very good point when it was time for the president-elect to be certificated. They asked for to give reason, to give time. Was it right on the day, the very day, with a week before the president to receive the certificate to leave the country? Was it the right thing to do? We can grapple that. Was it legal? They felt, well, it was not. It was not legal. He can do it. He can come back and get his certificate at any time. So now we have a similar situation here. Musa didn't meet the requirement. He has practiced law in Liberia. He's a trained lawyer. He has served in different capacity in Liberia. He meets the requirement and he's being nominated. I mean, what I would say, I think in some way, I don't know, but the Supreme Court should not abuse the stay order. Right. I think in some way, I mean, to just come up and put a hut on everything that come up because somebody go to you and things like that. I think for me, they shouldn't be interfering. Let the Senate do their work, and after making a decision, you can come and say you oppose it or this should not happen. I think that's what they should have done. Then just boom, I take it. I don't know whether they are putting themselves into it or they are interpreting the law in this era. I don't know, but I think they should have given the Senate an opportunity to do their work and then hear any displeasure that other may have had. But I mean, to just do a bomb and bomb, I think there's some disconnect. There's some abuse of legal power here. I don't know, but hopefully it will come up in the future.
When we were in grade school, they said the executive branch enforce the law, the legislative branch makes the law, and the judiciary interprets the law. But Kev, you think just to end on this, you think Musadi will get confirmed?
Of course, he will get confirmed because this is the maneuvering the Unity Party is doing. They actually know that they cannot fight him in the Senate, so they're trying to use other routes. But let's be fair to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, there's nothing spelled out saying it's a stay order, subject to interpretation. Maybe other people will read into that, but normally when the Supreme Court or any court issue a state order, they will spell it out, stay order. It will be there. Go on different cases, you will see it will spell it out, stay order. So people can interpret it. And with Vani Sharma is a trained lawyer, he knows exactly what he's doing, seasoned, been in the business for long, he knows the law. But it's not unusual that Supreme Court can hear a case. They will hear a case. What they're going to look into this case, whether the Unity Party is injured directly. That's what they're going to look at. And then you look at the case, whether the Unity Party will sustain any injury by the president nomination. And the answer, there's no injury on the Unity Party. It's constitutional right and duty by any president. But Supreme Court will always look at this kind of case. They will always look at case. You can carry a case, they will look at it, they will hear it, and they will throw it out, and you go, because that's their right. That's their right. It's your right. It's every Liberian right to go to the Supreme Court. They will hear your case and they throw it out. So what Vani Sharma is doing is complete saying there's separation, complete separation. So we could do your own, but we will continue what I was hearing, because you cannot interfere in another branch. You understand? I don't think that the Supreme Court has the power to put a stay order on the legislature, because they make the law. They make the law. Supreme Court interprets the law. Executive branch executes the law. So to say they will just put a stay, that's why there's nothing there. Again, legal minds will tell you it's subject to interpretation, but they normally put a stay order. So I think Vani Sharma would think his right to continue the hearing.
Let me ask a quick question before you welcome Ben in. What's the breakdown, the numerical breakdown of all of the within the Senate of all the different political parties? I mean,
well, a question about us.
Okay.
Sanvee,
let's go to the website.
The same thing with the nomination of Samora. You think the president, he has the vote in the Senate to confirm his student nomination?
Who was that question going to?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He has the vote.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me, first of all?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Lofa, happy birthday. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I'm sending the cash app for the EXO. Don't worry, I'm gonna send it. But yeah, it's good to see Winfred also. Winfred, it's good to see you. And it's good. Yeah. So first of all, forgive me. I'm in my car. I'm doing daddy duty. So, but I couldn't miss. I've been following the show, and I just couldn't miss the contributing. So I'm gonna be in and out. To answer your question, Tomini, I think the president does have the numbers to confirm his people. I think the Unity Party is fully cognizant of that. That's the reason they're doing what they're doing. I don't think anything they're doing here is grounded in law. I think this is pure political theater. And when you have political theater, now listen, like Winfred said, it is their right. It is their right. The thing about politics is that if Joe Buckeye was the president, the outgoing president, CDC would be doing exactly what you see happening right now. They will be trying to find ways to be able to exploit the political theater and to find ways to see how they could be able, because again, I think I said this on the other show. This is, if appointing a Supreme Court justice, right, even in this country, is considered as one of the most sacred things that a president gets to do, because it's not something that happens all the time. There are presidents who get elected and they don't appoint nobody on the Supreme Court bench because it is such an important position that, unlike America, Liberia, at least Liberia, we have age limit. America, it's a lifetime position, so you get a chance to shift the court in a particular direction. And I think I repeat what I said. I think President George Weah is well within his right. And I think that's one thing I've heard across the board here. Everybody has accepted that. So what is happening here? If you even look at the grounds on which the Unity Party is trying to stop this thing, they're not trying to stop this thing questioning George Weah's legality, his legal right. They're saying that the man did not retire. That's what they're saying. That is, if you read the filing, they're saying that as far as they are concerned, right, there is no vacancy on the bench because the process to which Justice Nangbe supposedly retired, right, does not exist. He didn't do it the right way. Pretty much that's what they're saying. Again, like I said, I think it's political theater. I think the Supreme Court justice is going to trash this thing. I think they will run to the full bench, right? Because again, it will be another delay tactic. But what I find fascinating is the move that Vani Sherman just pulled, which again is all healthy for our democracy, because all of these things are things that are setting that will be used as precedents in the future. People will refer to this and say, guess what? When Weah was on his way, he did this. And Vani Sherman coming and invoking the separation of power, I think it's very important, because one branch of government cannot tell another branch of government how to do their job. You can't. The legislature, the judiciary cannot stop the legislature from carrying out its constitutional function, right? So I think this is all smokescreen. I think George Weah gets his nominees passed. I think even the issue of Samora Wolokoli, it's the same thing. At the end of the day, guys, I think at the end of the day, Musa Dean qualification cannot be questioned here. I think he's one of the finest jurors we have. I know Lofa and Winfred has highlighted a few little blind spots. But guess what, guys? We're trying to find angels in the devil's world. I'm just sorry. It's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. If George Manuel Weah had appointed Winfred Russell on the Supreme Court bench, they would be talking about how you were a council member in Brooklyn Park and you probably didn't do something to send something. Something will come up. We'll find something to argue against you. That's the game of the game. But I think Musa Dean is well qualified for this role. I think he's probably, if not one of the most qualified nominees ever that we've seen go on that bench. He has a body of work that speaks for itself. He's far from perfect, but I think let's wait and see what the committee will do and what the full plenary will do.
I said, but let me ask a quick question to you guys. I mean, Ben Jeff brought something up, because I think you all know in this country, in the United States, you don't need any sort of law degree or any legal background to serve on the Supreme Court. So the fact that he mentioned this, I thought about that. Is that the same in Liberia? Do you guys know?
So.
No, I stand to be corrected. I don't think it is the same, because I think you have to be. Yeah, I don't think it's the same. I think you need to be a lawyer. You have to have a law degree. I think the Liberia National Bar Association also has to be consulted. I think there's certain things, certain procedural things that the president has to go through. So I stand to be corrected, but I'm not 100% sure. But I don't remember a president appointing anybody who doesn't have a law degree on the Supreme Court of Liberia. I don't remember ever that happening.
Okay, I'm glad that Ben made that clarification. So I'm not even going to try to sound redundant here. But here's something else, though. I know very often when we speak to qualification, we leave it so vague. All right, and we say this man is qualified. He's over the qualified. What makes him qualified is what I'm seeking here. I mean, I'm looking to employ this man to represent me. What makes him qualified? Because when I look at his most recent performance, I'll say to you, I'm iffy about it. I'm iffy about it. So I hope that I can be convinced here on his performance. What makes him qualified to occupy this role? And again, I don't want people leaving from here, not understanding my position here. I'm not saying he haven't been there for so long. He's a statesman. He served Liberia for I don't know, whatever it is. But if I'm to look back at his most recent performance, I want to know, in addition to what just recently took place, what makes him qualified to occupy that role as compared to anybody else? Are we saying we don't have any other qualified candidate in Liberia to occupy that role besides this individual who recently just showed to us several reasons why we should not believe in his ability? I mean, and I'll leave it in that line.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, you guys want to, because but look like
you want me to take a small stab at it?
Yeah,
because I gotta run. I will run. Let me take a small stab at it before you guys come in. So, Lofa, I think the truth of the matter is that the answer is there are other qualified Liberians to sit on the Supreme Court bench. There are, but guess what? The president. That's the president prerogative, right? That's one thing the president gets. The Constitution gives him. He has the right to be able to appoint who he deems as qualified. Then our right as citizens will be able to look at the person's record. Musa Dean, like I say, has a full record, right? Being justice minister is just a small portion of his overall record, but you are absolutely right. Let's look at his record as justice minister. One of these things that people are highlighting about him as justice minister, I did hear Winfred talk about the fact that he wasn't vocal during the Alex Cummings case. Yes, I agree. He was not as vocal as I probably would have wanted him to be. But I also know that he's on record of disagreeing with his Solicitor General. He was on record. In fact, that was the beginning, or it was probably the epic center of when you saw Solicitor General Cephas and Musa Dean going at loggerheads. You also got to take into consideration the political connotation of what was going on during that period of time. What's the other thing that Musa Dean is criticized for? I'm myself trying to figure it out, because like Keff highlighted, right, under his watch, the rights of Liberians were protected. Let's not forget that this man was the chair of the joint security, right? People protested. In fact, let me remind people that some of the people who are objecting to Musa Dean appointment are seditionists, because seditionists believe that position should be given to a die-hard CDC person, and the president, in his wisdom, has said no. Right? So it clearly shows that the president is comfortable and is very satisfied with Musa Dean's performance, because he did not, I don't think, and I'm very critical of some of these government officials, right? But I don't think Musa Dean was a partisan attorney general. I don't believe so. I think, in fact, some of the decisions that Musa Dean took was not in the interest of the CDC. People used to remind Musa Dean, the president, that Musa Dean was once a Unity partisan. You remember Musa Dean ran for the House of Representatives on the Unity Party ticket in 2005. I believe it was 2005, or one of these elections that was held. So So maybe back to Lofa. Let Lofa highlight some of the dismal performances that you think that Musa Dean did while he was Minister of Justice, because there are a few blind spots. There are a few blind spots that I know in his Minister of Justice record. That like I talked about the Ellis Cummings thing. I would have wanted Musa Dean to go on the record, because you know what? The Minister of Justice is the only member of the presidential cabinet that can disagree with the president. So I would have wanted to see him be a little more forceful, right, in that issue. But hey, guess what? Serena Sifa got sanctioned because he put a more in something that he didn't have no business putting a more in, right? So maybe in actuality, who knows? Because it is on record that Musa Dean was not in favor of that trial. So again, like I said, maybe people need to highlight some of these things that they're talking about. But overall, I think he had a great record when he was Minister of Justice. You never saw no journalist getting arrested or getting beaten. You never saw Musa Dean ordering the police. In fact, to the contrary, he was very, very lenient when it came to the issue of freedom, when it came to the issue of guaranteeing people's right. And again, like I said, I'm defending him because Musa Dean is kind of like one of the the kind of jurist that I want to see on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not going to be a place for perfection, right? People are going to have their different issues, but I do not believe that there is anything here with the gravity that will get me in a corner where I will want to deny Musa Dean a right to sit on the Supreme Court bench.
Peabody, Keff?
Yeah, and I'll just
something that Musa just said. Something was, what Lofa just said. I just want to quote Article 68. You know, if anybody meets that requirement and they've been nominated by a president, then they can get on the Supreme Court. It's a citizen of Liberia and of good moral character, be a counselor of the Supreme Court, by who has practiced for at least 5 years. A counselor of law who has practiced for at least 5 years, and that's a simple requirement. So obviously he missed the requirement.
So that answers Winfrey's question also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
but the person got to be a lawyer. So
yeah. You know, yes, exactly. So he missed the requirement. And if the president decides to look, but I think if I was a UP partisan, I would be happy because Musa Dean have leaned more to the Unity Party. He have helped them a lot. In fact, somebody just quoted, I don't know how true that is. Nyenwolo told us said that Musa Dean contested on 2011 on the UP ticket. I don't know for what.
He did. But he did. Representative.
I think
representative on the UP ticket. So
yes, on the UP ticket. Yeah, representative.
I don't know. Well, he have been very sympathetic.
Let me say this. Let me say this, Dr. Peabody. I think the qualification they're talking about, not exactly is he a lawyer? Is he this? They're talking about his time in office. That's what some of them are hearing. Some of them saying. I don't know if that's what Lofa is saying. But Dillon, who is on that committee, enjoyed the freedom from Musa Dean because he protested more than 10 times, 20 times. He enjoyed it. He can attest to that. He can speak to that. But because they want to play politics with all those things, but he can speak to that because Darius Dillon enjoy under Musa Dean. When let me say this, as a seditian, I disagree with Musa Dean so many times, but you know what? Every time I go to push, Musa Dean bringing the law back to me, and I cannot argue him because
So you want him to break the law?
I disagree with him because of my own biasness. Say, oh my man, why you lying? Why you lying June 7? Why you lying June 7? Why you doing this? We're angry, Musa Dean, and you bring the law to me and say this is a country law. So the reason I'm defending him because I know exactly how I was angry when Musa Dean exercising the law. I was angry. because I went against Musa Din. I spoke against Musa Din on Spawn. I did that on another network. I did that. But
now, can we talk about? Okay, let me ask you guys a question quickly. Tomalin, can we? What about his performance or lack thereof when when we had all of those unsolved death that took place in the country with the auditors and all of these folks who passed away? There was supposed to be investigation. I mean, his performance during those periods too. I mean, there was a very scary moment in the country. A lot of people, Ben and Keff, a lot of people point to that. I mean, that his poor performance during those times need to be highlighted.
Okay, you see, that's some of the disappointing thing that people carry on unsolved death, unsolved. We saw the precious Princess Cooper go under the Ministry of Information. You will see the family, you will see everything there. It was solved. She died on a particular illness. There. The auditors, go there, you will see it. So the notion of unsolved, for example, the Topman case, you can go under the police, you will see individuals were arrested. They went to court. They testified. They said they were sodomized by Topman. It's there, but I think they look at the recent case of Musu Scott. But because there's a notion in Liberia that if the minds on Mr. Russell that he the one that murdered and they don't get Mr. Russell, then it become unsolved. They want Mr. Russell by any means, but they finally are there.
So can I interject quickly, Kev?
It came out from before. They finally are there. You can disagree with that. You can disagree. It's up to you, but it's there. It's there.
It's all conclusive. So all of those cases.
Some of them stay under investigation. Okay. Because investigation.
Yeah. So I just want to interject quickly. Because I have to run. And I think it's a great question Winfrey asked. But let's also understand that Musa Din being the chief law enforcement officer. It's not it's different. He's not the one he's not the investigator, right? He's not, and I agree. He presides over the joint security, right? Like Keff said, a lot of what a lot of people question when it comes to these deaths is the finality or the end result of these reports. Right, but did he not initiate an investigation? He did. We may not agree with the report. We may have questions about the findings in the report. Right, there are unsolved mysteries across the world that people to this day people how Biggie got killed or how Tupac got killed. There are people who feel that some conspiracy happened. But my point though is, did he initiate these investigations? Did he come out to the public? Did he have press conference? There are records. He did these things. He read the report. His job is not to go and circumvent the report or to change the report and to say, you know what, because this report came out and said this person died of overdose, right? That was not his job to go and change it. His job was to go to say, you know what, investigate this and bring the findings back to me. And after that his job would be to communicate to the country what those findings were. So I think at the end of the day, there are legitimate concerns about these deaths, about, the questions people may have, so all of those different things. But at the end of the day, I don't think those are things that we can hold Musa Din to say, again, the Minister of Justice is a very important position, is one that has to be you almost got to kind of be apolitical, right? And I think for that, I think Musa Din has high marks. I think he really, really do have high marks when it comes to not being partisan. There have been other justice ministers in Liberia, Winfrey. You and I know that. You and I know how other justice ministers operated. They operated like they were the president's personal lawyer, right? They operated like they were like Donald Trump was trying to use the U.S. Justice Department as his personal law firm. You understand what I'm saying? That was not the case with Musa Dean. Again, like I said, he's on record. People are on record. The party, the ruling party under which he served, is on record at fighting. Jefferson Koji, the mayor of Monrovia, is on public record of scolding Musa Dean, scolding him, almost to the extent of threatening him. You know, guess what? I never saw Musa Dean. I never saw Musa Dean come up publicly to respond to Jefferson Koji. I saw a man go about doing his business, because at the end of the day, he was responsible to the country and to the president. As long as the president had confidence in him, right? I think he went about doing his work. You know, so for me, I think that's what it is. You know, and we can have a general conversation, because at the end of the day, even this issue of the unexplained deaths, it was something that the CDC paid dearly for in the election, because at the end of the day, it became political. Unfortunately, it did become political, right? So I think, again, like I said, my final point on this, because I have to hop off. And I'm going to be following the show from the back. My final point on this is, I think he's a great jurist. I think what the Unity Party is attempting to do is what they should be doing. They're a political party. They would really wish that Joseph Boyka will have this pick, but unfortunately, Joseph Boyka is not going to be president until January 22nd, so he got to wait. And George Weah will have this pick. We saw it happen in this country. Barack Obama would have appointed Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court if he had control of the U.S. Senate. He didn't. So as a result of that, Mayor Garland, thank you for the correction. But he did not have control of the U.S. And guess what? Mitch McConnell blocked his nominee. But when the situation flipped a few years later, on the other side of the coin, Mitch McConnell, because he had control of the Senate and he had a Republican president, he pushed through a nominee. He pushed through a nominee in an election year. It comes with the game. It's politics. Elections have consequences. And guess what? The Liberian people made a decision 6 years ago that they wanted George Weah to be president. And so that's why he's exercising his constitutional right. But I got to run, guys. I'll be following. Listen, I wanted to just come to chime in. And Winfrey, we will talk offline. I mean, I saw Tomalin trying to put. I'm waiting to. Anyway, let me stop. I won't put you in trouble. I see. I'll see you guys. Thank you.
All right, bro. Bring us to Robert. Welcome. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It brings us to the point where, again, it's important that in the next few days, you see the importance of being head of the Senate and also the legislature, because if the person who occupies the present position of President Pro Tem of the Senate, if that person was a Unity Party of person, but now President Weah should forget it. That person would not bring that nomination up for confirmation, not at all. So I hope those who are seeking election for the Senate Pro Tem and the Speaker, they are watching that the importance of holding on to the Senate, of taking control of it, because if our chair wasn't a sedition, if it was somebody else, that person would not even take up that nomination. They would just send it back to keep it in the committee room, whatever the case. They would not bring up for the full Senate, the full up and down vote. So I hope they're watching. That's why the importance of it. But Robert, we almost are of this topic. You want to weigh in quickly before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah. So happy New Year to all of you guys, man. It's a blessing to have been able to go through the entire 2023 with great health, and to see every one of us here again. I hope our families are doing well. But I wanted to really hear from a legal mind on this issue, right? Because I had a few questions about this. Is like an injunction, right? And I've been speaking to a few of my lawyer friends, and the question that they kept asking was, on what ground did the Supreme Court issue this injunction? On what grounds did they do this? Because the Secretary General and the incoming party ask the Supreme Court to issue a writ of prohibition on the president's nomination, which from all indication is constitutional, then on what grounds are the Supreme Court issuing this injunction? Normally they will ask the party that is making the allegation to make some sort of proof or to give some sort of evidence to justify this injunction. And so when I heard that, I read the letter, and the letter, the information that we've gathered so far is very vague. It basically says that the Supreme Court have issued a writ of prohibition because the Secretary General of the incoming party have asked for that. But the Supreme Court have got to have constitutional and legal reasons. Remember, the Supreme Court does not make decisions based on sentiments and or political reasons, if I may. They make legal decisions and recommendations based on legal and constitutional reasons, evidences. And so I'm still trying to figure out, and all of my lawyer friends, they keep asking, and these are not Liberians. On what grounds did the Supreme Court issue this injunction? Is it because this request came from the Unity Party Secretary General? They have to have a legal reason to want to do that. Or did the president act unconstitutionally? I still don't understand why they would want to do this. There have been no judgment from a lower court on this issue. The lower court cannot take the president to court for doing his constitutional duties. He's still president of Liberia. And so we can all argue the ethical and the moral issues and things that we talked about last week. But I'm baffled by this injunction. There's absolutely, from my understanding, I have not heard any legal reasons as to why the Supreme Court will issue this injunction with no legal reasons or whatsoever. I'm still confused as to what this is all about. The president is within his right to make nomination.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Finish.
The Senate is also within their right to do their own due diligence to confirm or reject. We've met many instances where this have happened, not just in Liberia, right? And the Senate did their job. So this have not even gone to the Senate. They have not put this on the floor. They have rights to do their own due diligence, scrutinize this nomination, ask the tough questions, and make a determination whether to confirm or reject. So I'm still confused as to this injunction and this heart of this process. Does the Supreme Court have a legit and constitutional reason to do this? And if they do, what is it? What are the explanations? I don't get it. And so I look forward to maybe the next 24 hours, just getting some information as to what led them to do this. What led them to do this? Because technically, from what I've heard, the president could. I mean, this could be a legal battle here.
Yeah, but Robert, let me just say something. They do. The Supreme Court can do that. That's the right. What the Unity Party did, they're not in no error to do some political maneuvering. You understand? They take the case. You can take your case. They left the Supreme Court to interpret it and throw it out. They within the right. They within the right to file and within the Supreme Court right to hear that case.
But listen, I'm not saying that the Supreme Court. Yeah, but no, I'm not saying the Supreme Court cannot. In any instance where there's a writ of prohibition, from my understanding and my education that I received from folks who are expert in this area, they have to present. We are going through a similar case here in Georgia. You have to present to the Supreme Court or to whatever lower court reasons for which they will make that decision.
They present the reason. They're not going there based on the president's constitutional rights.
The reason
is the retirement law. There's something
the vacancy of the spot.
Yeah, the retirement law. you know, whether he can retire early and all that.
Okay,
That's the reason.
okay.
So
Yeah,
they're not there based to question the president's constitutional right.
Okay.
They cannot do
Is that the basis for
Is
injunction?
that the basis? That's what I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is that the basis?
Yes,
I
they
don't
can.
know
They can.
basis
Yes,
on
they can do that. They can listen
No,
to
what I'm
it.
asking
you're a
is,
lawyer.
was
You're
that
a
the
lawyer,
basis
Keff,
for
listen.
which this was written? Is that what they're specifically asking?
Yes.
Well, I think
Yes.
that in their document
Yes.
that they presented, they are speaking of the vacancy of the position, saying that the spot is not vacant. So they cannot have someone nominated for a position that is still occupied. So that is their position that they're presenting to the Supreme Court. Now, would they honor that? That's where we have to
Okay.
we have to
So
go.
they're going to
That is their position.
interpret it.
Okay.
Interpret it to them, but they can hear it. They
But
can hear it.
again, I heard they're dealing with Attorney DeLon. So
So let me close on this. Let me close on this. Look, let me close on this. I look for. I hope this is not, because from what I'm hearing, this is all political maneuvering. We know exactly what's happening here, right? And what's happening here is, look, these guys have the president have from now until the 22nd, so he literally have 19 more days in office. I'm not sure how long this process plays out, but I'm hoping that this plays out as fast as possible, because again, there is still a nomination on the floor, which does not change. What changed here is, if this is done before the president leaves office, it raises a lot of question about whether or not they have what it takes to get this confirmation done. So I think there's a political maneuvering going on here, but I don't think that this is a case that they can win at the Supreme Court.
No.
The letters are very clear. It's very clear on what grounds the president have acted here, and I hope this is done, quickly.
Sure. Yeah, some senators right now, some people, they're what they call grandstanding. They're just going around. You see some of them on Facebook. They're just trying to show off, but all that's just grandstanding, because they know the president is acting in his own right, and that now the job is with the Senate. That's why they say the Constitution say with their advice and consent.
Right.
Of the Senate. So now the president nominates, they advise, and they confirm, and then with their consent and give it to him. So now it's important. That's why I say again, it's important to know who's heading the Senate. Who's heading the Senate? Now the president made other nomination. For that one, I don't think it will go through, because most of it was ambassadorial appointment nomination. I don't think, and if the guy who heads the Foreign Affairs Committee is he supported incoming President Boyka, Senator Biden from Maryland, and Jim Biden will not put that. He won't put it up for he committee will not take this nomination up. But again, Wodo Colley and Musa Dean, the nomination, I think they have the votes, because those who voting, like 11 senators that are leaving, they're retiring, that are being kicked out, they're leaving, and the senators they are leaving the Senate. They're leaving the Senate in 19 days, so they won't leaving. They will be doing the confirmation year, and then take an example, the CDC senators too all join, then they'll get the votes. I'm sure they'll have the votes, and when they get the votes, they will act fast. I tell you, Robert, by next week, we're in today Wednesday. They have one more session, which is tomorrow, Thursday. They'll be on Tuesday and Thursdays. So I'm sure that will be end by tomorrow, according to Barney Sherman. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock a.m., they will be done with that. And maybe they'll take out two a nomination. Who knows? Abacha will put up, the vice president, I see her, she's presiding now. So I'm sure they'll take out the two nominations tomorrow. I'll do one on Tuesday. The president can also call them back again. Say, look, I need you to come back. And it will pay them. And tell me, if I'm leaving the Senate in 11 days, president come back to session, you'll get paid. Yeah, I will not go, I will go. So yeah, the votes are there. Again, it's important that the CDC as opposition party make sure they take control of the Senate pro tem and the speaker position. They will need it tomorrow. But Larry, welcome, man. Maybe as we end, just give your last word on it before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah, so I'll just say something real quick. And thanks, guys. Pleasure being here with you guys. Winfred, always follow you. Always a pleasure to be here with you guys, man. It's like we're discussing, President, we are nominating Keff Hassan to the Supreme Court. It's one of those things where you pretty much, and he have a legal right to do it, right? Look, it boils down to this. The Supreme Court is trying to do the work of the Senate. That's not why they're there.
Thank
They're
you.
not supposed to be doing the work of the Senate
Thank
in
you.
terms of accepting or rejecting people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This is ridiculous.
we absolutely have. That's why we have this whole balance of power. We have these checks and balances. One entity of the entire government is meant to check the other one. This is not the place for the Supreme Court to be stepping in. But again, they do have a right to do what they want to do, right? The party can go ahead and do that. But in any court case, right? Any court case, there has to be some sort of a precedent. Because if the Supreme Court were to make a decision to block this, they in fact would be doing or creating a brand new law.
Thank you.
They'll be legislating from the bench. That's not how countries work. That's not how constitutions work. You're not supposed to legislate from the bench, because all you have to do is check out the law and see if there was even some previous cases. I checked the judiciary website. I couldn't find any precedent or anything to give them the basis for rejecting Musaideen. Like what Menepake said during the last conversation, the presidency runs up until a certain 6 years. It doesn't start like 1 or 2 weeks before his senator. He has a legal right. I may not agree with it, but my disagreement is just an opinion. There's no legal basis for it, so he has a right to do it. So they can put up a bonfire and dance around it and sing Kumbaya all they want. They're not going to win a case. If the judiciary that looks like a list of who's who on the sanctions list decides to go ahead and confirm, it's a done deal. Let's just move on from it. But one thing I would say, as an investment banker, right, when we look into place investments in countries, we're looking at the judiciary apparatus, right? We're looking at everything in that country whatsoever. So this is something that may have a downstream impact in terms of how the country is able to bring in foreign direct investments. That's another conversation for another day. But it's going to get, if he gets confirmed, let's move on.
Okay, thank you so much. That's a good.
This was just very clear.
But yeah. Now, I heard yesterday about this issue that the Unity Party, they have the joint transitional team, my president working. But I want to ask you guys, what's your take? The former Auditor General, he said yesterday that he considered the transitional process a failure. And he said that the CDC government, the transitional team from the CDC side, they're not working along with the Unity Party transitional team. But my question was, incoming Vice President Jeremiah Kun was tasked to head the team, the transitional team from the boycott scam. But up to now, they are not complaining about any issue they're having. But he was saying that there are documents they've been requesting. They're requesting for documents, requesting for information, and they're not getting it. But I've not seen no press conference where they are complaining. So I don't know. Larry, let's start with you. Since you talk about the issue about the most of the money era and so forth. And I believe that no matter what happens, anything comes to money issue or so forth, LCC is there, the GAC is there. These are constitutional integrity institutions, fiduciary institutions that are there to ensure that the information are provided. So you think there will be a problem if that any documents they're looking for that can stall the process right now? You want to give it credence of what he said yesterday, you think?
And this is why, if we're looking to develop and build Liberia, we need to have like audit trails. We need to have databases where records can be kept online. We don't have to wait for someone to hand us a piece of paper. You can't run a country where somebody has the documents you need in their back pocket. When they leave, they take the documents with them. That's not the way how you do business, right? So when the former AG says that this whole thing is a failure, well, of course, it's his opinion and he has a right to it. But then we have to say, well, it's a failure in leadership. Who is in fact in charge of running this whole game? If the person in charge of running the whole game doesn't lay out the ground rules from the onset, you're going to have an issue. So it's similar to the whole agreement between the ANC, Liberty Party, and all these other parties, the CPP, how it fell apart because people didn't pay attention to the rules within, the rules of the game. If he is saying there's a failure in this whole transition team, let's start with the leadership, because someone has to take the blame for that. Is it the incoming VP? because if he's running this whole thing, then he should be able to step up in terms of his leadership and say, look, listen, let's get this thing rolling. But if we're depending on the outgoing government to give us what we need, that's a problem right there. There should be, you see, remember when Hillary Clinton got into trouble because she was sending emails? She had her own little server somewhere in her house and she was sending emails and it said, this violates the law. You cannot do that. That is because there is a law on the book that says you have to use the government server to send information, to send documents, because when you leave, there is continuity. Somebody else is going to come behind you. All they have to do is just go into the archives or go into the government server. They can see where you left off. No one's ever built that thing in Liberia like that. There may be some records, but I think the incoming government will have to play catch up. And this is what's going to mess them up, because you need a few months to actually kind of wrap your head around what has been going on. You know, people haven't been paying attention to certain things. The Ministry of Finance may have been running their own little side deals. There may be other entities that have contracts out there. There may be a lot of booby traps out there. It's going to take them a few months to catch up. And time is of the essence. You got to hit the ground running with this stuff. So if this whole thing is a big fiasco, let's just wait for the inauguration. Let the new team get announced, and let's see what happens. But we shouldn't just turn around and start blaming each other and pointing fingers, because that's not good for camaraderie. It's not good for team building.
Winfred?
Well, I think I think part of the issue has been the cooperation from the we administration. I think it's one of the things that he highlighted and he talked about. I'm talking about Malou, John Malou. But I mean, I've heard his sense say, and I've also read since that there have been cooperation coming now from the WEA administration. They've been, but not the level of cooperation that they were expecting. At least they were expecting. I think Malou has a completely different approach, which is this sort of what some may see as abrasive approach, but the information that they were looking for, the information was trickling in, or the information has been trickling in, but he wanted a much more robust, a much more abrasive sort of approach to get more information instead of waiting for the information to trickle in. Let's go out there and and we don't have to wait for this guy. Let's go out there and and get it. I mean, I think that's part of just different styles and different approaches. I mean, I think that's my read on the whole thing, and so at the end of the day, we have 19 more days to go, and we're going to see what's going to happen. And from what I'm hearing, I mean, they're in certain sectors of the government, you do see those sort of cooperation, taking place. I mean, everyone has a completely different approach. John Malou has a different approach and a different expectation, and we want things to be done, a certain way. And I guess his folks are telling him, say, look, hold on. There's no need to be all abrasive and be radical about how we get this information. We don't want to piss anyone off. Let's just work sort of collaboratively, and at the end of the day, we're going to get the information that we need in order to do the work that we need to do. So I really don't see any serious problem, Tomalin, with that approach. And what I mean is that I don't see any problem with it, because I mean the information is coming in. Ultimately the information is going to come in. We're going to get there. They're going to get the information. So, why the rush and why the hurry, or why do we need to be abrasive if that's it? When we don't really need to be. I don't think. I mean, if they're getting the information in, let's wait until we see what happens at the end of the day, and we just take it from there.
Lofa, you Wayne?
I think the issue with Molu and the disagreement with the Poly Alliance is simple. because again, he's coming from a different, train of thoughts. This man is a professional man. He wants to get things done differently. Okay, I want to get it done. I want to get it right, and I want to be on time with it. Unfortunately, he's looking to work with a group of politicians who are thinking about their past. Hold on. We know you really want to get these things done, but to what extent would these things also expose us? Because remember, the people we are dealing with 6 years before, we were there. We sat there. There are records that could actually end up with you, and you were the same person who audited us and exposed a lot of things about our corrupt practices. And here we are again. You may not be going through the process of auditing, but here you are. So Molu looking to do things the way he want to. They are stepping on his progress, not because they feel like he's being abrasive as my brother Russell is thinking here. No, they don't want him to reveal things that could actually be detrimental to them, even though they feel like we are not the one in government today. But yes, we were there yesteryears. And if we dare attempt to go hard on the CDC, they will expose us. And when they expose us, Liberians would know some of the dirty deals that took place before they came here. So you know what we'll do? Molu, stay out of this. Let us do it the typical Liberian way. We will do what we do. We will cover up the dirt, and then we will bring you in to play it on the surface level. This is nothing about them wanting to wait and work with the government. Molu himself came up and said, look, there are certain requirements that the team did not meet. So what would be the hold on? This is not about this man. It is about the work ethics. These are things, I don't know why we should sit here and behave as though we are surprised of the underperformance of this team that was put together already. We shouldn't be surprised. We saw these things happening. We saw it during the election. It took people from the outside the last 2 weeks to come and even get them to start to address the issues. All along, it was all about yelling here and there. It took Amara Khan and other people to bring them together to start to address the actual issue that Liberians wanted to hear. And then finally, they adjusted. So to sit here and believe that they're supposed to perform exceptionally well after putting together a team of individuals from different walks of life having to come together within less than a month to put their heads together, I don't think it was going to work. I think they was trying to step on the progress of Molu simply because if they let him work within his area, if they allow him to work within his confine and free, he will expose the Unity Party and some level of incompetence and to some extent their previous corrupt practices, and they don't want that. So they and their team will step on him to the fullest, and he will probably not be successful.
Wow.
Let me comment here. I think
Molu will survive in the UP. You'll survive in the UP.
I doubt it.
Let me take it from the other side. One, I think there's a breakdown of communication here with Molu and the transitional team. I think it's a breakdown of communication. Secondly, how is Molu coming in there? Is he coming in there as all know it expert and I can do this? I know that it should be done this way. Is he communicating with them? Is he guiding them and telling them what they need to do? Or is he suggesting, hey guys, this is what we need to do and this is how we do it. Let's work together as a team to make this happen. But we know you can't come in. You may be the expert, but the way you lead and direct can also help. Working together as a team with the other. But if you're coming in and want to take all and feel that you know it all, you did it this way, you wrote this report, you carry on this, I'm the best, I'm this, then people will find a problem with you. People will be mad because you're not coming in on this team, even though you're an expert. But I think we need to work together here as a team to build our organization or to move forward with the new government, all of that. But you can't just come in and go on other platform, condemn the team, not saying all kinds of stuff, and then you expect them to look to you. I don't think it's a good guidance. I don't think so. It seems like there is a breakdown of some kind of communication here, and I think there's a need for him to communicate with the team more because the team in Liberia is saying one thing, And Malu is saying another thing.
Let
So
me
it shows that break down here in the communication.
So
let,
that,
let,
that
let me,
yes,
let me,
so something.
Wait, guys. We're doing by order now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, CDC coordinating with the boycott team, right?
Okay. Well, let me say this, right? Let me say this. The Unity Party will never allow John Molu to come even 1 mile to Boca house. Well, he went Ghana and he asked for a term of reference. They ain't giving nothing. They will never allow, because what Molu is saying, one thing that we we're praying for in the back, we're praying for the audits that the Unity Party is singing. We're praying for it. The reason, number one, Molu is saying that they should start with audits on the book, right there, and they should use the LSCC, the GSC. They should use all of them, right? And he trusts them. The Unity Party want to jump over that because reason why they don't want to start with the audit on the boat, because everybody that around GMB will be gone. They probably will be looking for Larry Kennedy with Russell, Lofa Julius. They probably be looking for you because everybody will be gone. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. So Molu said we should start with the audit on the book. If we want to change, let's start with what we're saying there. Right? They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. So Molu will not go close to JMB. You will never see unless Molu change. I promise that Molu will not get job within the Unity Party. Will never get job because what Molu want for them to audit. We know those guys that some of them will mention. We know their names. We know them. They are Nicodemus that went at night and begged for them to just give them a payment plan. All this, the audit on the book is there. Their names there. Some of them who want to be commerce minister today, they're paying money because they went at night. We know that. We know them. So Molu said, let's talk about those guys because we cannot bring them in the government again that break down Liberia. That's told before that we cannot bring them. That's what Molu is saying, and they're saying no. So if they go with Molu, they will not get nobody. Everybody you see behind JMB, they will be gone. None of them will be qualified to hold position. Like I said, they will look for Larry Kennedy, but they're not going to. So Molu will not be close to JMB. They will never encourage Molu. You see what he asked for term of reference so he can go and do his work. He went to Ghana. He spent 3 weeks in Ghana. They ain't get him nothing. He came back.
No, he had a business in Ghana, Kev. He didn't go there for that purpose.
Well, Dr. Peabody, I'm not saying what you're saying. I'm saying what he said. So I think I believe Molu over you because Molu is Molu. So I can bring the tip for you. So I don't think I can believe you.
Well, and that's how I make this show great, that we both can.
Yeah, but I think I
I
want to believe the man himself because I think he said that, so I'll believe him over you. Yeah, man. You may talking different.
So let me come in. I wanted to come in because I'm born here because one of the problems in our country is that talk is cheap, right? And I believe in not only the words of great men, but their actions, because their action tells us more about who they are. It's not what they say, and that's just me. People talk a lot of good talk, but then their actions is the total opposite of what they say. I have to agree with my brother Lofa Julius because I think Molu has presented this image of who he wants us to believe, but his action has proved totally different. He's a professional. He's a man of integrity. He stands for something. But everyone makes personal choices. I'm not going to knock on him for making his personal choice. But let's start here. John Molu led Joseph Boycott and Unity Party campaign, fundraiser campaign. And if John Molu was a professional man and a man of character, of everything else, one of the things I would have respected him to have done was to advise Joseph Boycott in his campaign after he said he would sleep with the devil or dance with the devil to get elected, that it wasn't a good idea. It wasn't a good financial practice to have a fundraiser on the platform and with the man who has been convicted of fraud in these United States. He did that with no noise whatsoever. I don't respect a man like that. You want to talk about people who should not be on a list and folks who should not come back to government? Look, God bless Stanton's heart. Whatever happens to him, happens to him. But I would not sit on the same platform with a man who owns a platform, who has refused to do the professional thing, recuse himself, clear his name, clear the name of his family, do whatever he needs to do so that the running of his organization can run without any interference, without anything. He sat on that platform not once, many times raising money. And who knows? Majority of that money could have come from criminal references. Who knows? Is this the man that I would trust have any sort of integrity to do the right thing for our country? Hell no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Another thing I want to mention is this. We have such the records, and John Molu worked in Liberia for 4 years. 4 years. The first 2 years, he made close to $15,000 a month. The second 2 years, there's some documents we received that show that he made close to $20,000 a month. Ask John Molu, when last did he pay a single tax in Liberia? This guy has never paid taxes in Liberia. Yet he paid taxes, high taxes in the U.S., in Virginia, with no question asked. And people can argue that, yeah, the system, the structure allows him to do that. But the system and structure allows you to pay taxes sincerely in Liberia too. The question is, are you willing to do that and do the right thing? And so when people try to present this whole John Molu guy as some professional man who stands for something, I don't buy that, because nothing he has done proves to the fact that he stands for this and he's a man of character and he wants to do the right thing. Blah, blah, blah. I don't buy that. But let me hit this point home. I have spoken to people on this transitional team, and everything that I've heard so far speaks to a cordial relationship. Everything that I've heard, in fact, when the president and the president-elect went to the executive mansion, we all saw the professional exchanges between the both men. We saw the executive order that was issued. From all indications up until now, I have never heard. In fact, I spoke with one of them last night. These are people we know. We speak behind the scenes all the time. I've never heard any question about some cooperation issues from the government. None of that. And so for John Molu to come, who has no role to play in this stuff, and in fact, there are people in the Unity Party who doesn't even see this guy. They're front of this guy. They don't want him around. They don't want him around. And he wants to show up that the Peabody said, oh, I'm the guy who knows everything, and it's my way or no way. It doesn't work that way. There are people who are professionals and got proof to show that they're professionals. You go into certain areas, you want to know how things work. Talk to the people, humble yourself. Get the information you need. Look, we all want to see the right thing done in our country. If he wants the right audits to be done, if he wants the people to be, audited across the board, fine. But you have to go about it in a certain way that reflects professionalism. You can't show up and think that because you're the guy and you're John Molu, you would just do whatever you want to do. No, so this is all bluff. He wants to have his way, and it doesn't work like that in the professional scene. You have to be able to collaborate. You have to be able to compromise, and you have to be able to listen to other professionals. You're not the only professional in the room. And so all of this noise about not compromising and look, this is all bluff. This is coming from John Molu, no one else. No one on that team have raised any concern of any issue with collaboration. Absolutely nothing. In fact, we saw the foreign minister today in his press conference. Everything from Joseph Boycott's camp and the camp, everything seems to be in the right line. Let's stop this stuff. And John Molu should not present himself as this high intent. No, BS. I don't buy that.
Wow, Robert Gagwa Jr. on fire tonight. It's Robert Gawa. He's on fire. Yeah, but guys, look, I had for my take is that I think if there was a problem between the transitional team, they would have heard it by now, because like I said, the vice president elect, he chairs the transitional team from the president elect side. Also for the outgoing government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, D. Maxwell Kemia, he chairs this team from the WIA side. And I think they've been working cordially. I've not heard any kind of friction. I think last time the Secretary General of the Unity Party spoke, he said things were proceeding well. And like somebody said, Robert Lofa said it all, but I won't say what he said. But honestly, it's like, I mean, you guys know. I mean, the guys were there before 12 years. The other guys came 6 years. And the guys are working together in cluster. And they know what it's looking at, what documents they're looking at. And it's like, okay, we're proceeding. And so no noise from there. The only time we heard noise was when Mueller raised the issue about it's a failure.
But Tomalin, can I say something before you move forward to the next person? Somebody I was just reading, talking to somebody who worked. They said that Mueller himself was never audited at the General Auditing Commission. They said he never
recommended himself audit. He never recommended that. Oh, Dr. Peabody.
He said he never recommended that. And then the pay standard, he did not even set a good pay standard there. He was paying some people higher salary, people that he favored, and he was paying some of them less. They said mostly the likes of the female that was there. He paid the female, some of them who were not even that qualified. He was paying them higher than people who were there at the time. And then he was receiving $6,000 from the Liberian government for entertainment, apart from the $15,000 he was making. So this guy was getting up to like $21,000 a month from the EU 15, $6,000 for entertainment from the Liberian government. Can you imagine this? The man that talking about a clean hands right now.
I don't know. Keff said something, and I don't know. Keff said that he doubted that Mueller will be considered for appointment in the Waka government. But I know in recent times, Mueller has been having come up with a vision of Waka, of what he expects, the expectation of the incoming government. He been saying what they're going to do and so forth. I don't know, but it left with the president-elect and his team to decide who he appointed as government. But I don't have much to say about that, because right now we know they are preparing the cabinet. Like I said, I'm interested. My main concern right now is to see who will be nominated as Minister of State, Foreign Affairs, Finance, Justice, Information and Defense. These are key ministries I'm watching carefully to see who will be nominated for these positions. And they're going to tell you exactly what we expect in the next six years or so. But guys, quickly, somebody just brought to my attention that they said that Larry can.
Somebody, if you allow me, please, can I just ask a quick question? Hopefully, we can use this now that we're talking about audit and all of those things. Can somebody just help me with when the last time the House was audited? Your senator and representative. When was the last time they were audited? Can somebody just help us here?
Never.
Never. And these are the people who's supposed to provide oversight. Anyway, let's move on.
Tomalin, let me say something real quick before we move on real quick. If you're in a professional organization, right? Let's say Morlu is working for one of the large auditing firms. You think he would be on one of the major networks or speaking on behalf of the organization? That's not how it really works.
Thank you.
You don't go, you have an official spokesperson, because when you go and start speaking sort of like on your own, you will create animosity within the team. And I think that's what may be happening as well. So I think the incoming administration should have an official spokesperson, because you can't have the SG and another member of the team going onto a talk show and having an argument in public.
I think they have changed that now, Larry. I think they.
Yeah, but they should have set that. They should have set that before it actually happened.
Thank you.
You set the rules of engagement before it actually happened. You don't wait till it happens, then you say, "Oh, this is what we're going to do now." Because I don't know when they changed it. Because I still believe it may still be happening. And the other thing I want to make real quick before I swing it back over to Tomalin is, if you're going to have an audit, you can have selective audit, especially one where you're going to go backward in time and select certain people, because I saw some discussions from Toba Niswa and going all the way back several years. You know, it's like you want to throw a net in the river, but you don't want to catch a certain type of fish. It doesn't happen that way. You're going to grab everybody. And if you're in a society where corruption is endemic, you're going to nab some people on your team and be prepared to stand behind it. So you can't do selective auditing. You either say, look, we're going to take this thing all the way back to maybe 2010, 2008, or whatever the case may be, and be prepared to stand behind your audit. But don't do selective auditing. It's not going to fly. You're going to run into an issue eventually. And I think that's what Lofa Julius was kind of alluding to when he said these people don't want John Mueller to come in. Because when he started trying to grab people, they would grab a whole lot of them.
They say you pull rope and rope pull bush or something. As I say.
Everybody come up. Yep.
Somebody's time I raise this issue to you guys. They're saying that maybe I'll start with Larry. Maybe go for it because it's his era. This supplementary budget, the budget that was submitted by the government, the We Are government to the legislature, I think they reduced to 600 million instead of 700 million, and now the people are saying that they are personally paying December salaries, or they are personally trying to leave out December salaries. What they are concerned about, so I should ask the question, but I say I don't know whether you guys can answer the question though. What up you think the Boga administration will meet up with the salaries for January and February? You think they will meet up with it? People are concerned right now. Some civil servants now, they want to know because they say they're struggling to get their December salary right now. So they are trying to find out what happened for January and December. February. What do you think, Larry?
If the incoming administration did proper planning, they will have a game plan for that. But personally, my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to. And when I say it's not going to happen, meaning be able to pay everybody across the board, I don't think it's going to happen because there's no way the government would miss its loan repayments where they won't be able to tap some of their extended credit facilities, some of the access to money they have. There's no way they would have that kind of money and then miss their debt repayment because it ruined your credit with the IMF and the World Bank. So I don't think they have the necessary money. The incoming administration will not even know what is actually in the state coffers because they will have to go and do their own little assessment. That's going to take time. But to be honest with you, I can't see the incoming administration having money to pay everybody across the board. In the first 2 months, I can't see that happening. No way, no shape, no form. Because the government is essentially, they don't have the money. And then the fact that I think they're being set up, because I'm hearing, the outgoing administration is adding more people to the payroll, it's going to be even worse. So if they're not planning properly, it's going to be a problem when they come in the first 2 months.
So let me ask you this question, Professor. There have been conversations that I've heard behind the scenes about the Unity Party being trapped into whether to continue this harmonization that they've criticized or to revert back to what they had before. Now, some of the questions that have come up and from Unity Party partisans is that why is it that they were against this harmonization because it took away money from folks and gave it to others? Is this whole question about Unity Party paying some of its or ministers more money, like the $10,000, the $12,000, $15,000, and then paying others $2,500, $3,000, right? So here's my question to you: what approach would you advise that they take? Are they going to, at the end of the day, they pay this whole job issue, prevails, right? Because a lot of these guys have no other way of opportunities in the private sector because they're essentially none, right? And so their only hope right now would be some reward that comes from the government. What would you advise them to do? Are we going to go back to some members and some professional being paid huge salary monthly and others getting paid little or nothing? Or do they kind of revamp the whole harmonization to ensure that there's not this huge disparity in payments?
So the harmonization was really kind of focused on a way to reduce the recurrent expenditures because the salaries, even though it was, there seemed to be no rhyme or reason to it. And the reason why I say that is in order to enter one of the ECFs, the extended credit facility, the IMF is going to tell you what you can and cannot do in terms of your budget. Number one, they can tell you that, look, you cannot borrow money unless it's on a concessionary basis, unless you're doing concession agreements. That's one of the reasons why when you enter these programs, you can't come in as a new administration and try to change the rule. You're already in the ECF program. You probably have another year or two to go before you actually get out. So that is something that is being dictated by the IMF. So I can't see them coming in and dictating to the IMF or telling the IMF we're going to get out of the harmonization program. The reason being Greece. When Greece needed money from the IMF, and they had to get into similar harmonization programs. Argentina ran into similar issues. There were massive protests in Argentina. We saw similar issues being pushed when Ghana just missed their debt payment to Wall Street. They missed their debt payments, and they have to enter into a loan agreement. I think like a $3 billion loan or something from the IMF. The IMF is then going to tell you how you can raise money, how you have to reduce your expenses, especially your recurring expenditures. So when they come in, I don't think they'll be able to get out of the ECF program, out of the harmonization program easily. It's not going to happen right away. The only way it's going to change, and this is why Liberia can't seem to develop. After 20 years, the GDP per capita only increased about $400, while other countries is increasing in the thousands. Because we follow the same thing. We keep going to the IMF and the World Bank for money. We keep raising money through concessions. No country has ever developed by raising money through concessions. It's not going to, I've never seen it happen. I don't believe Liberia is going to be the first one to set that precedent, right? So in 2019, Samuel Twelve wrote a letter to the IMF. In that letter, he stated, because in 2018, they had, this huge jump in prices, which is inflation. They had this huge jump. He said, look, we need to enter the ECF because we don't have any means of raising money. When entering that program, the IMF said, now we're going to lay down the law in terms of how you can raise money, in terms of what you can and can't do, how you have to cut back on your recurring expenditures. That's what this whole harmonization thing came all about, But I can't see, to answer your question, Robert, I can't see the new administration coming in and changing anything. It's not going to happen. And
I'm glad you answered that. I'm glad you answered that question.
Let me come in and say something. I'm sitting here, Tomalin, excuse me, I'm sitting here laughing with Larry talking about the harmonization and it being driven by, the IMF. One of the campaign message from the other side, especially UP, the government can't cut your salary. They cut your salary. They take that money. They pull in the package. They go. They cut your salary. But the expert of Larry saying it here, listen to you. The IMF would when you enter that program, you basically they will tell you anything because they will run your country. They will tell you in order for you to come out of this hole, you gotta cut this place, you gotta put this place. So when Twain then went to IMF, they say, you know what, the harmonization will be the best way for you guys because the wage bill is so high. It's so high. Because of that, harmonization is the best way for you to save some money because of the pay disparity in the government. People were making this much. So in order for you to calm down, to at least control or pay people, you have to cut down salary. So even the minister, the only side of if I'm not mistaken, I think the lawmakers too, I think they cut some of their money. So that was cut all over. Assistant minister under the past government were making up to 6,000. People are making 15,000. Under this government, they brought it down in order to meet salary. But they use that to fool the people. And now the reality sets in. Like we always say, I dare them to take harmonization out. I dare them to come and say, I will raise salary. I dare the UP.
Keff,
never do it.
Keff, you're absolutely right. Twain didn't have a choice in the matter. In order to have the government functioning, they had to make that tough decision and enter the harmonization program. I saw this happen in Greece. When Greece wanted to enter the harmonization program, people protested because they knew it was like some type of austerity. But you're right. It wasn't like the government had a choice of whether to keep salaries the way it is. And no, they need that money. And the way you get money from the IMF is to go through this harmonization program, which is what they offered. And then you can only borrow from concession. And let me say this thing real fast before I swing it back over to you guys, to Tomalin. In any country where you are, where the colonialists, I don't want to go too far back, but when you have the colonialists coming in, and if there's a place where they can live, your country will develop because they have a vested interest. But if it's a country where they cannot live, they will just come and start extracting stuff, your resources. They will extract all of the resources, and you will end up being stuck in this sort of a turnstile. You're just going around and round and round. Harmonization, money from the IMF, money from the World Bank, and you cannot get out of it. You cannot get out of it. So that's what happened to Liberia. We got stuck because the people who came in, they couldn't live in there with us. So they just extract our resources. Eventually, the resources will run out, will get depleted and run out. But yeah, to your point, Kev, to why they didn't have a choice. And this incoming government, they're not going to have a choice. They can say, we're going to stop harmonization.
So Larry, so why did the CDC then did not do a good job with regards to educating Liberian people, because this situation was used as a political tool, as if it was part of the PAPD agenda. They did not explain as you are explaining, which is why I asked you this question. What do they do now? Because this thing was heavily criticized by the incoming government.
They made it look as if, and you're right, the CDC government didn't do a good job of explaining to the people that, look, listen, we are coming in, we don't have money. Our back is up against the wall. We have almost about 90% or so of our budget going to recurring expenditures. We need money for development. The only way we can get money is to go to these supranationals, the IMF, AFDB, African, Asian Development Bank, all these major banks, to borrow money. But in order to borrow money from them, they want us to make some changes in our budget. And one of the changes that they're asking for is something called harmonization. Explain it to the people, but they didn't do it because it's like austerity. People don't want to hear that a salary is being cut, especially in an economy that is not growing. You cut, so you have a choice. You can either cut people's salary or you can lay people off. So which one you rather?
The economy is not revenue-driven economy. It's not like an economy that have a lot of revenue from their own domestic products and this. No, they're taking money from here and there. So they will tell you what to do.
Yeah, but
they will tell you what to do. And when I speak to people in the back, I say the Unity Party will catch hard time. It's based on the rhetoric, what is sold to the people. Now the people expecting them to raise the salary. Everything will be that, but you can. You see,
that's where the problem going to come in early because you can't.
Let me throw the question there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they say governance, campaigning is different from governing.
Absolutely.
From governing. But now, but you think the Unity Party, when they take office in 3 weeks from now, if they cannot meet up with salaries for January, for February, and other expectations that the people are anticipating, you think they will blame the CDC, right? And you think they are coming? They will put a blame on the CDC. It will be unfair.
Yeah, not necessarily.
No. Let me jump in on this.
Let me learn, please. You think if they put a blame, okay? If they put a blame on CDC, and let's say they say, well, depending on what happened, because but Larry, anybody, you expect for Baka to come on and say, look, because he'll be making two important speeches. The first one he's making is the inaugural speech, and then after that, the following Monday, the State of the Union, he first State of the Union address, the State of the Union of the Nation address to Liberian people. You think he'll be all tell Liberian people, say, look, this is where we met the government, this is where our covers, this is where we are right now, and so forth. And the Liberian people will be able to say, well, okay, we're separate. Yeah, you tell on the fact that the government is broke, everything, and so the first 100 days, no car was restocked in the mud on the major highway.
No, I mean, okay.
20 seconds, real quick. 20 seconds, real quick. Real quick. They can blame anybody they want to blame. Doesn't mean people are going to believe them. That's the first thing, right? But the second thing is when you have the incoming administration looking to do an investigation in terms of what is causing prices to be high.
Yeah.
That is something that should have been done long time ago. You should have been able to tell people, look, prices are high because we import pretty much everything. There's a war between Ukraine and Russia that is impacting. There's a war in Hamas and Israel that may be impacting the shipping of goods through the Suez Canal or the Red Sea. So you coming in and saying, oh, we didn't know, that is not a good excuse. That is not going to work.
People this.
Let me ask Larry one question, though. Let me ask Larry one question. Coming. And Larry, you're right. And I believe the scapegoat would be the city government. They didn't put things in place. But do you, well, am I right when he said that the folks should manage their expectation?
You know why he's doing that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because he has the facts.
The campaigning is over now.
Yeah.
And now people are looking towards you to kind of walk on water. And then you're telling people that, wait a second, I really cannot walk on water despite all I said during the campaign. I would keep it real. I can't walk on water. That's why he's saying manage your expectations, because campaigning is over. And he don't want people to say, oh, listen, the Broad Street will have milk and honey. He doesn't want people to believe all that stuff, because reality is going to set in. We don't have money.
They overpromise the people.
Yeah, we have a high debt to GDP ratio. Yeah. We owe a lot of money. We cannot miss debt payment because we're not going to tap into all this money. Look, I give it back to you guys, but reality is going to set in. So they're trying to save manager.
No, I mean, I think I agree. I mean, there's some of the same problem that the Salif administration had when they came in. You know, managing that expectation. They did, didn't do a job at that. But I think Tomalin said this, earlier, and as someone who's been in an elected position, I can tell you that there's a whole different ball game from being from activating and you're out there, you're advocating for all these different things, and you're an activist. When you leave there and come at the table and you start to govern, and advance policies and push policy through, it's like night and day. So it's really different, because you cannot blame the previous the previous government, because then what sets in, Larry, is something folks, is something that we have here in America, what they call then what applies, then what becomes applicable here is the Pottery Barn rule. So you break it. I mean, you own it. You're gonna have it. You have to fix it. So I think that's what's going to set in. So I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, I mean that's how things are going to run. So now you have it. It's for you. You got to fix it.
Deal with it.
Wow.
Larry, let me.
Okay, I just want to ask Larry something. I was talking to some a good friend of mine, guys that I respect a whole lot. They say something to me. They say, Buckeye going to appoint a lot of qualified people around, in his government. That would help. So I'm saying, would that help? Because this person is qualified to be finance minister, that would take away some of the stuff that we're seeing. How can they dance around it? Because some guys who I spoke to, qualified guys, guys that I respect, but they say, oh, it will not be the same because Buckeye will hire a lot of competent people.
Lofa coming in, then I'll.
No. I want Larry to answer.
I mean, let Larry answer. Let Larry answer Kev's question.
Look, Kev, I'll be honest with you. It's not an easy thing to raise money to pay the bills that needs to be paid on day one. There's no way you're going to come in and just change the fact that you have no credit rating, to change the fact that you don't have any money in your coffers. You may want to go and tap your reserve over at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, but you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. You can bring some of the most competent people in, but it will still take time for them to get the engine rolling. It will still take time. And time is something I don't think that we have, because you need time to raise. In my opinion, I think in addition to your budget of about 600 and something million, I still think the incoming administration needs to be able to tap at least up to about $1 billion or so in external credit. I don't think it's going to happen right away.
So all that in Washington D.C. all these with the IMF, the World Bank, all sold out for nothing. That flower.
First of all, Tomalin, let's get that.
I thought
Other meeting they had over there. I know the news went out there that Americana was the one organizing all of those meetings, and he was involved in it. That's not true. That is not true. There is a renowned businessman in the States who organized that meeting because he's well known in his community. He organized it, and they were invited because he wanted to get things done. Amara had nothing to do with that. Let's just get that straight. And I dare Amara to come here and say contrary to that. But I'm not a financial expert, right? I'm not a financial expert, and I'm not going to play one. Thank God we have Larry on here who will help us all understand.
Break it down. Break it down.
Break it down to the. Let me use this analogy that my uncle always made mention to me. He said, "It's always good to dress up for the job you want. Okay, don't dress up for the job you already have. In other words, prepare yourself adequately for that particular job that you want. Okay, don't quit your job 2 weeks to go and socialize when you know you have no other source of income, so you will not get paid for the next 2 weeks. That means your bills are going to fall back." The Unity Party they heavily promised us that upon the ascendancy of Honorable Boycott to government, we will start riding on the ocean in in airplane. Okay, we will have no problem because Honorable Boycott, 1,000 years of experience would give us that leverage. They did not take into consideration what they broke before they left power, and the fact that when CDC got into power, they themselves, they thought that they would use this opportunity to enrich themselves, and they did not put any mechanisms in place to hopefully prepare themselves to get us to where the masses would benefit. Look, I hear you asking a question about, can they use an excuse? Yes, they will. Matter of fact, it's not an option. The day after inauguration, you will start hearing Unity Party folks saying, but this, CDC did.
CDC.
It's left with us. It's left with us to listen to all of that and even take them into consideration, because at this point where we are asking Liberian that we need competent people, someone who understands the economy. And that's why all through the elections, we reminded Liberians, we are looking for an individual who understands the economy, a man who can sit and look at the different sectors and say, look, this is where we can push the brains we have. This is where we can push the funds in order to bring in other investors, because the faster we push and invest in our economy, the better it will be for us. But trust me, that mother who's going to bed hungry, her kids get up in the morning and they're looking up to her for food, cannot always say to the people, look, CDC mess it up. CDC mess it up. At some point, the kids will say, but mom, we heard this before. We're tired of hearing it now. Now Unity Party is in position. Let them do what they're supposed to do. So again, I want to reiterate in my low man's term, dress up for the job you want, like my uncle Kevin Soko would say. If you want to be successful, prepare yourself adequately. The Unity Party lied to themselves, and we will sit here to keep them in check. We will erect the needed checkpoint. There will be no excuses.
Okay,
let me come in quickly. I asked Larry that question because we all love our country, and contrary to what you may believe, we have a lot of friends in Unity Party, and we know a lot of people that we respect tremendously. And part of my issues during the campaign, and I sat on this platform listening, and I know my brother Kev will not agree. I think that this is an opportunity for the George Weah-led administration and CDC as a political party to really go after January 26th and reflect. What did we really do wrong? One of the major things that I mentioned here was, you can talk about some of the mistakes George Weah made by hiring not well qualified folks, right? But also, these mistakes was a trickle down, in fact, right? Let's look at communication for issue. Communication in any organization is an integral part of that establishment. You have got to hire people who understands the approach, the tone, the languages, and the importance of that aspect. It's not big mouth people. It's not people who talk loud. It's not people who use a subject and verb that does not agree. It's not people who have necessarily gone to the biggest university. They are people who have the experience in communicating simple things and in communicating things that are even more complicated. From every indication, when you listen to what the embassies are saying, when you listen to information that went to DC from human these folks, politicians, you can call the opposition, there were no strategy in place to correct information that went to DC or to educate the Liberian people on the truth. Nothing whatsoever. When Samatua and others were making intellectual speeches and basically doing things that were not necessary, they should have been doing what Larry just did. I asked that question because the reality is the harmonization was not a CDC of economic policy. It wasn't. But I bet you a lot of Liberians did not know this until now on this platform. I'm glad that people are saying this is why they tune into the closing argument. People did not know this. And you know what? I'm afraid this is exactly what the Unity Party are getting themselves into. Because they should have campaigned, and they could have campaigned where they are pointing out some of the mishap of George Weah in the Unity Party, but they should have also been honest. When Americans talk about managing expectation and people say, oh, no, we're not managed. When Ben Sanvee said, no, we're not managing our expectation. When Keff Hassan says, we will not manage our expectation, these are not stupid people. You may disagree with them sometimes, or a lot of times, but they're saying it for a reason. Because if the Unity Party is not careful, come 2029, it may not be a CDC making this political argument, but other opposition can make this argument and do so effectively. The last point I want to make. No, they can't blame CDC because you know what is that on record? Well, guess what? When you defeated Unity Party in 2017, the Liberian people hired you to fix what was broken under Unity Party. There are no excuses at this point. The Unity Party were re-elected to fix what CDC did not do right for the past 6 years. And so what would be the basis for these excuses, Larry? What can they intellectualize to really make people like us understand and agree that, you know what, you got a point. No, we expect you to have a plan to address all of these major issues. So when Joseph Boakai talks about there will be no car stuck on any highway in 90 days, well, guess what? He now have to prioritize whether or not he fights corruption, whether or not he goes after folks and on sanction lists, or whether or not he prioritizes the economy and getting folks on payroll pay without absolutely no excuse. And so they have. I said the last time, I do not want to be Joseph Boakai. I do not want to be President Joseph Boakai in this moment because it's more complicated than it was under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf or George Weah. He is faced with some serious challenges. The expectations are extremely high. He has the experience. He has been around for many, 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 many years. He is the guy to fix it. And guess what? The Unity Party have presented themselves as the smartest, the most intellectual folks in the history of Liberia. They have all of the competent folks to get the job done. And guess what? You must get it done. But if you were smart, you would take my suggestion. The government that invests in tourism will eventually invest in creating a functioning private sector. Guess who did it after World War I? Jamaica did that after World War I, and they did not have millions of dollars to start. That's a way you can start. And so you have to prioritize, and you have to add some nuances. You have to be smart, but there can be no excuses. We will not accept them. In fact, we will be on your neck to get the changes and make the changes as you campaign.
Robert, I can tell you who the excuse will be. CDC would be the scapegoat. CDC would be the black snake that will refer to that. They did this, they did when they can't solve some of those problems that they promised to make it now. The rule that Walker is talking about in 3 months that no car will break down, they will put it right back to CDC. CDC will not be used because
but Dr. Peabody, that's natural. I mean, CDC did the same thing to Unity Party. Yeah, I mean, everything was Ellen. Everything was Unity Party. They were struggling. They were having problems because of Ellen. So I mean, that's
UP
but they didn't accept it. The argument was, well, you were hired to fix it, so fix it.
You say we agree.
Well, Russell, I mean,
I just got this quick press release. I just came out. Let me read it for you. Just
I don't. You want me to read it out?
Yeah. The National Executive Committee of the Model Congress of Democratic Change acknowledges receipt of a letter of resignation submitted by its National Vice Chairman for Finance and Investment, Attorney Dr. Samora Wolokodi. By this action, Dr. Wolokodi has resigned his position both as Vice Chairman for Finance and Investment and as part of the CDC. As we wish him well in his professional pursuit, there can be no denying the fact that his resignation has created a deep void in the structural composition of the Congress for Democratic Change. Hence, the CDC appreciates Dr. Wolokodi's knowledgeable services to the party and recounts the stellar leadership role he played over the years. Meanwhile, the CDC National Chairman encourages all partisans, supporters, and sympathizers to unite, holding firmly together as the CDC prepares to announce the conduct of the national retreat for 2029 comeback. Well, the position that he nominated for is apolitical, so he's right that he resigned. He's not a partisan. He's not free. He's not a member of CDC anymore. Nothing. So now he's free. So the Senate can go now. We'll call the Senate to go now and confirm the man. Let the president nomination nominee be confirmed and move on with the government people. Because that's job, Larry. That job is the job of bringing money to pay the people, pay the salaries, the revenue. So if you can't, you have a commissioner general now, you have a problem. So I think CDC was right to accept his resignation and let him then move on now. But lastly, guys, before we have to close, people are saying, well, you think the UP will continue, that they are calls that there are threats that they will not continue the president of free tuition, the public schools and universities, and also the wires fees. I mean, always continuity, and I think people are depending on it. But you think the UP government will continue it as we end our day for today. Let us end and just quickly end on that.
Tomalin,
we'll continue it.
Tomalin, check your phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, answer the question. Go ahead.
Well, anybody can go ahead.
Yeah, let me just say it quick so I can hop off. I want to say a couple of things that my dear brother Robert just mentioned that makes sense. The first thing, I'll answer your question real quick, Tomalin, but what Robert was saying, what if our CDC or even Unity Party would have been doing right now? I probably would have been doing surveys around all of the county and asking people why they voted the way they voted. And the reason being, there were no debates in this election. People didn't really focus on the issue. So I'm really curious as to why people voted the way they voted, because that would kind of help me craft my strategy going all the way up to 2029. So I'm actually collecting data right now on that particular point. The other thing is, in terms of getting the message to Washington, D.C., I think what CDC did wrong was they relied too heavily on the Washington lobbyists. They invested way too much in there, but the Washington lobbyists weren't there to tell their stories. They were taking pictures with people like the guy from South Carolina, man. What's the guy named? Lindsey Graham. They were taking pictures. They were paying an exorbitant amount of money for lobbyists, but the lobbyists weren't telling the true story or dealing with some of the propaganda that was being laid on them over in Washington, D.C. So they messed up on that. And I see Unity Party starting in that same direction, right? They're bringing Reba Livingston. This woman has been doing this lobbying thing for Liberia for years. And all these years she's been doing this lobbying thing. Economic-wise, Liberia hasn't really grown. The people on the ground hasn't really benefited. Countries like Ghana does not have this number of lobbyists in there, but Ghana was able to raise billions and billions of dollars also from Washington, D.C. without any lobbyists. Reba has a contract in Ghana, I think it's with the Kingdom of Ashanti or something like that, but it's not really technical with the Ghanaian government. So you don't need those lobbyists to tell your story like that. What I would have done also to close up with the whole harmonization thing, I would have told the story about how many countries out there that have been forced to go into harmonization. It's not popular, but people do it out of necessity. I would have mentioned the countries in Latin America, the countries over in Europe. I would have mentioned all these countries and say, look, listen, we, Liberia, we just have to do it because that's the situation we find ourselves in right now. They didn't do a good job of telling that story to the lay people so they can understand it. To answer Tomalin question, if you take one of the most popular initiatives the president started, like free tuition, and you try to undo that, you immediately come in being unpopular with the young people. So you got to be very careful. The problem is you caught between a rock and a hard place. You can't afford it, but you can't afford not to have it. So that's
so what do you do? What do you do?
Guys, quickly, studios, because of the discussion going, is they love it, so they will give us additional 20 minutes. We can take some calls quickly. The people are enjoying it, so 20 more minutes quickly,
Yeah,
guys.
but
So,
let our chat.
let use it quickly, guys. Let's do some-
Larry, what do we do?
So I mean, I agree with Larry on that score about the tuition piece. It's almost like what we say proverbially in Liberia is like it's porcupine gut. You know, it's too bitter. It's too bitter to eat, but it's too greasy to throw away. You know, but I do think it needs to go away. It's not sustainable. It's not having the desired impact. I think a lot of money needs to go to education and improve some schools. I mean, and the whole education sector, as a whole, I think that's where the money needs to be directed into the MCSS and other school systems, around the country. It's not having the desired impact. I think I posted maybe several weeks ago about where I was, and this is across Liberia. Where you have little kids, young kids they're not in school, and their parents don't have money to send them to school. So how, so I mean, we have a mess. I mean, it's a mess. It's not something that we can answer, I think, in a soundbite, but I do agree that it's going to be a very difficult thing to do away with, but we do need to do away with it and sort of restructure our educational policy and look for more money to put into education.
Look, I want to see who's the education minister. I think I voiced this opinion, and I have mad respect for him. But I don't think that Professor Sonnen was the guy. Look, I want to see an education minister who understands what education reform entails, what it entails in the 21st century. I think Obama did a phenomenal job with regards to that. His education minister was a reflection of this generation, right? Very, very smart man. We can't have, excuse me, and I mean, I'm sorry, but we can't have folks who got their education 50 years ago, telling us how education should be in this century. And they've forgotten every fabric of what education means and what drives the economy. We're talking about science. We're talking about technology. We're talking about math. I mean, these are things great countries are focusing on. I mean, the Chinese did it.
Yeah.
And STEM, right? The Chinese did it and did so effectively. The U.S. are picking up on that. Other countries are doing it. I mean, you can remodel that from the African tradition, however you want to look at it. But we have got to start looking at things that will benefit the country and our citizens from an economic perspective. Tourism, I believe, is a central part of that. There's not a single look. We have, outside of politics and political science at our universities, we have more entertainment centers in our country than we have universities. We have a lot of people, a lot of our young adults are either servers, they're getting paid $100 a month. What is that? We need to integrate the tip system in our country. We need to reform our education system that includes an associate degree in hotel management. We need to open a culinary branch in our country. All of the major investment that came during Ellen Johnson's Saudi time started with tourism, the Bob Johnson Hotel Resort. But what happened? They had to bring and import managers. All of the top managers came from Europe, with the exception of a few Liberians, two of them who were my good friends, who managed the room's operations, the F&B managers. And these are people who did not know what they were doing. I interacted with them. This is my area of expertise. I know I know how
Robert,
these
we're
things are
running out
done.
of time.
Yeah.
No, one second. No, one second.
No, but
one
we gotta
second.
take
No,
we gotta take calls.
no, I know, but we have to start looking smartly. Our industries, from our education level, what benefits the economy, what growth of private sector growth development. The Ghanaians have done that. Rwandans are doing it, and they're doing it in Vietnam, only in our country. So they can get rid of the free tuition all they want to do, right? But we need to find out what are they going to replace that with, and that has to make
Robert,
sense.
are you right? Robert,
Wait a
let me
minute,
just, 1 minute, 1 second, I'll be done. I think, Robert, you're right, because if you go to Liberia, every restaurant you go to, so in the upskills restaurant, you have Lebanese and other nationals that are there, that are serving, that are in charge, and that doesn't work for It's Liberians should be the one involved in the midst of that. Again, if you look to the Rabat International Airport, the business launch is run by Ghanaians. The food you eat are Ghanaian food in your own country, in your business launch. And I think Liberians are capable of doing that. Providing kind of, I think you're right, Robert. I just want to touch
Imagine an Italian chef cooking pepper soup.
I will pass on my time. I will pass on my time so we can
Okay,
take
so
calls.
let me make it quickly. What is guy? Henry, comment to some calls quick, guys. We have 25 more minutes, guys. And guys, I just got up. Somebody just said it will contribute $25 for us to have a tourism show next week. So, guys, we can raise that money for tourism show. We'll dedicate a whole show for next week, Tuesday, January 9th, for tourism. Only on tourism, we'll talk about it. So, yeah, we can raise that money, host that show next week. Will be fine.
On Tuesday.
Yeah, I will take in Tuesday for.
It'll be a special show on Tuesday. Yeah.
So let's raise the money. Somebody have $25 already for that show. And lastly, the vice president of Liberia will be our guest on next Wednesday, January 10th. To be our guest, to be with us for our 2 hours, so forth. So we'll get ready for the vice president next week. Hope the panelists can be here to engage the vice president next week.
The current vice president, not the incoming vice president. For clarity,
Madam Jua Howard Taylor, Chief Jua Howard Taylor. But Herman, let's take some calls quickly as we get ready for.
Yeah, but quickly, Tomalin, how can folks, contribute to that? I mean, do you have a cash out running? Something that we can put on.
We just set a TCA cash app. I don't know. I want to be transparent here. We started a new government. I want to be transparent. I don't want to use my personal.
You get audited. Don't worry. We'll audit you. We have Larry here.
Next Tuesday is tourism for tourism.
At least Larry is not working with Molo. Who
Larry, you people come and take you. The program take you. So the program here, should be in the man cabinet. Get ready.
No, don't Larry. Don't listen to them, man.
You take calls. Harry, that put that calling. We got over 20 minutes.
You've been following very closely. You've been following discussion there. We having Larry Kennedy and Whitfred Rochelle as our guest today on the closing argument, alongside other panelists. So it is now time that you form part of the discussion, and then it is just 1 minute per caller because of the time's sake. Will not take you, then you're talking too many things. We have to go. So 077701765 is the number to call, and then you're going to be live on the closing argument to make your point. 777017635 is the number to call, and then you'll be live on the closing argument. 077701765 is the number to call. So we'll go to the line, pick up the very first caller. Hello. Good morning.
Good night.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, thank God.
Go ahead. 1 minute, please.
I want to tell the panelists, guests, thank you for the topic, the very topic. It was very fascinating. And I think there's a correlation between this program and that of this issue. But on the spoon network, we can get anything on that now. And some of the economic issues I discussed, they are very reality that we are going to face in the next government. There were the harmonization, they were criticizing about they will be the only trunk card that we're going to use. So we look up to how we can come up with technology or idea that can promote our new government. Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys were getting the caller? Oh, okay. 777017635 is the number to call. To this caller. Hello? How are you? Good morning. The time is 25 minutes down to 12 o'clock. So we're already in the next day. Hello?
Now we can't hear him.
No, I will not keep it alive. I'm not getting what you are saying. The panelists are saying that they're not getting you. No, Governor, you have to call back. 0001765. If you call, you have to amplify your voice. Please. To this caller, hello? To this caller.
The next one, yeah.
We probably got to take some call from the US.
Or some of these callers. You will not call me, and then you be like holding the call. Other people have to call, so don't call and be holding the call. Good morning.
Morning, kid.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Your new friend, why you join us?
Thank you very much. My name is Abraham Khan. There's an official president to join you from Kazali Korea to this side.
Okay, Abraham, 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I want to appreciate you so much for the discussion on the table. And I also want to appreciate Robert. I've long been listening to his and the insertion of this, platform. He speaks both sides. And I also appreciate, Peabody and love the other folks. But to the point, if someone has come to say, yeah, come to rescue people, I think you need not to, tell people that it needs to, lower their expectation. Yeah. If you said people were suffering and then you came, that you have a solution, then that solution should be prescribed. But then again, they are coming that, all other free tuitions, like the wild fees are going to be suspended. For me, I don't see it necessary because for the fact that everyone will not be able to work in government so for those who are not able to get jobs, if they are not working, people will be able to go to school and then maybe those who do not have money, they will not be under that constraint. But you say, if you take it from there and then in the long run, if you're not able to provide job for everyone, then that becomes a problem. And these are some of the contradictions that people are coming for, or coming to create within Liberia. So again, I think the United Party need to really do their work and then leave the something that is really beneficial to people. Tomorrow we are going to school. And there's no sufficient benefit that really coming to we as the civil people within the country already with scrapping. Yeah, so I think this situation is really beneficial to other people who are not working. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. 77017, that's 635.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Well, you're live.
Yeah, good evening. This is Siliki from Liberia, and good to be here. I want to say thank you guys for the show tonight. Professor Larry, thank you so much for your analysis. Thanks for all you do for Liberia. But look, I hear all of you make a different point, but regarding the audit, yes, I want to agree with Mr. Larry. They have been very selective, and that is what they're going to do. They are coming to target people. They are not doing audit because, they want to give the Liberian people justice, or they want to actually, identify corrupt people. Because if they actually do care about doing audit, Jeremiah Cole need to be audited. Because there was a report that Jeremiah Cole, there was some money in the budget that was allocated to a hospital in Ghana, which is owned by Jeremiah Cole. But United Party is not even, let's leave Kung alone. There were a lot of corruption scandals at Noka, which James Kabakoli was involved in. And James Kabakoli is a nephew to Joseph Waka. So they have been very selective. They are not going to do an audit that will be based on fact, to give the Liberian people the kind of justice that they deserve. but they're going to be selective on which hunting, which they have already started, trying to deny the confirmation of Musadin. The same Musadin, that seditions talk against that he was working with the opposition. So today they are standing against the nomination of Musadin. As if to say it is not the president's right, to make the appointment or nomination that you have done. But it is the Unity Party, that's what they do. And then they boast about that they are good at propaganda. And then Liberian people actually fought for that, which is very, very unfortunate. But it is where it is. Talking about lowering the expectation, the Liberian people should keep that expectation high. Because they fool you, they say that they are coming to rescue you. And so now nobody will tell you you will lower expectation. They will rescue you, especially in the first 6 months of 1 year. They must rescue you. If not, get in the street. Look, see what happened recently before I close on Brother Tomalin. Joe Baka told the Liberian people that he was poor, he never had money. But recently, Joe Baka went to Banga and gave $10 million LD, which is 53,000 USD. A man that never had money, a man that said he's poor. No, but this is a deceitful old man. And that's the kind of people that Liberian people like. You thought they said the JMB not get money. But JMB giving people 53,000 USD, but this is what it is. And, and we will be here to correct some of the checkpoint contradiction within the Unity Party, because that is what.
Tomalin won't take that kid call again.
Guys, program. Guys, I think we're wrapping up now because we got a few more minutes. We got to close, so the guys get a closing part in comments. And guys, look, the banner money for the campaign, man. Y'all leave GMP alone. The banner campaign.
But has there been any report from campaign finances that we know who paid the donation, how much was raised?
Okay, guys.
You can just use campaign funding for anything, Tomalin.
No, I just make an post.
You giving it back to the people who got.
We have fascinating discussion tonight, and I want to say thank you to the guys in studio for giving us a extended time. We got roughly 12 more minutes, and Larry and Russell, you guys have been very, very exceptional, man. We appreciate you guys.
Definitely.
We'll be here next week. The vice president will be here with us, and then next Tuesday, guys.
Friday, we'll be back on Friday.
Yeah, Friday. But the cash app, guys, for that program, we don't have show on Tuesday, but the poster should do tourism day for Tuesday. Let us make it happen. Bring some tourism guests, so we can make it happen. But Liberia tourism sector. Let help. Maybe by doing that, we can give the new government some ideas how to really.
Tomalin, our expertise are not free. I still owe student loan.
So
we can talk all day, but I still owe student loan.
So guys, let's close out. Let's do our parting comments, man. Guys, Larry, want to start off? Get your parting comments, guys.
No, so I will just dwell on the good news in terms of Liberia. The good news for Liberia is we pretty much have everything we need to develop the country, right? We have minimal resources. There are other countries out there like Hong Kong, which is just a rock. They don't have the kind of resources we have. We have that stuff. We also we located by, we have ports. There are other countries that are landlocked. They have to go through other countries to get to the port. We see what's going on right now in terms of Guinea, the port of Buchanan, all that stuff. Those are another huge benefits we have. Another thing we have a young labor force. This young labor force makes it possible for us to start things like in construction sector, in agriculture, in tourism. Those are all the human capital we can use to kind of grow the economy. So that's another big plus for Liberia. Another thing is when you compare Liberia to other countries like in Asia, we also speak English. Well, despite the colloquial English we speak sometimes, but we pretty much speak English. And that is something that can be used if we wanted to do like a call center or things like that, right? So but here's the major thing. The number of Liberians in the diaspora, especially in the US, it creates a huge opportunity to tap into that resources to have foreign direct investments. We just think investments should come from white people. That's not true, right? We always think it should come from the Anglo-Saxons. That's not true. We always think that it should come from other foreigners. No, Liberians in the diaspora, remittances, that's a huge opportunity. So all the things we need, we have it, but for whatever reason, we just can't seem to love each other. We just can't seem to trust each other. We can't just seem to invest in each other. So as a result, we end up in this kind of syndrome where, when one person tried to rise, we pull them down, right? So all I can say is I always enjoy coming at the closing argument because you guys elevate the conversation. It's not all just mere politics and just shooting from the hip. It's always good. So thanks again, guys, for inviting me. Thanks, Doc, Tomalin. Nice to meet you, Russell, Henry, my brother, Robert. I didn't miss and Keff. We're on the same page today, Keff. All right, Lofa Henry. Thanks, guys.
See you, boss. See you.
Russell.
Well, thanks, guys. Again, we have a lot of challenges, no doubt, in the country. Equally so, we have a lot of opportunities. We have a new administration coming in 19 days. I think the promises that have been made and the expectations that the folks have, all of these things are going to come together. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have a wonderful time, and I think I'm convinced that with the right people in place and the right government put together by the incoming administration, I think we will be on our path to greatness. I think we're going to turn the corner. I think this is an opportunity. We have no choice. We have to do this, and we must do it. And I think we're going to do this. So for me, we're just giving the new administration time. We're going to hold them accountable, and I think they will expect that. And so we all just have to wait and see what happens. I enjoyed the show. I appreciate the opportunity always to come on here and share my thoughts with your listeners and your viewers. It's a wonderful opportunity. I'm looking forward to next week, the tourism show. I mean, that's an area I'm in. I served here for 5 years now on our tourism board here in Minneapolis. So we have a lot to bring to the table. So looking forward to that, because I think I just posted something on my wall. But I just posted something on my wall where in 2022, Kenya brought in $2.12 billion in tourism. And so so there's such a growth opportunity in Liberia. There's a lot of opportunities. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to spreading the word about the Cash App so we can make that happen. So thanks, guys, and looking forward to always hanging out with you guys whenever I have the time.
So Russell, the fire chief that gave Baga the fire truck, he invited the public to the region.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Jamie,
but another information I'm getting, the mayor of Trenton would like to go to Liberia for the inauguration and was requesting to get an invite. The mayor of Trenton, Mayor Reed
Scranton, PA.
Trenton,
Oh, Trenton.
Yeah, I was just told, they'll have a large Liberian population in Trenton. And the mayor of Trenton, I understand, has expressed interest in going to Liberia, but requesting an invitation. I don't know, but you guys who are close to the Barker camp, I can give you the information you need.
That's a morale booster for them, though.
We'll pass the message on to the people about window.
But that's my closing.
Okay, but I think it was a great show, though, to be honest with you. And let me close on this note. Liberians don't have patience at this time, and we would not be looking. Now we would be listening to any form of excuse. Our expectation is that the Unity Party will come ready to hit the ground running, because Honorable Boykai been in government for the past how many years? He came with experience. everyone in the party they came with have wealth of experience, and so they are ready to solve Liberia problem. And that is the reason why they strategically thought to buy into the name that was provided them by Henry Costa. I credit a young man for his genius idea. They took on that name and said there will be the rescue team or the rescuer. But to hear people now trying to run away from the reality, and I'm hearing all of a sudden Delon is now the next attorney general or the next attorney who trying to interpret the law and everything. But again, we will sit and wait for that time when we
I'll tell
will
you.
expose some of these things to the people, and these things must be said. I want to close on this note. Finally, Joshua, the late Joshua, I believe, was buried sometimes last week on Saturday. I want to say again to the Liberia National Police, this is a young man who was a victim of election violence. We should not continue to allow these things to happen and get away. I want the people to know the status of the investigation. We sat here for the first maybe 15 or 20 minutes discussing status on cases that were brought to Musadin that would never concluded. We don't want this young man to end up, or the case of this young man to end up the same way. Why perpetrators or alleged perpetrators, to be politically correct and correct, are gallivanting the social media and they're showing no remorse for their contribution to his demise. I think the Liberian National Police should do the best they can to make sure that justice is served. The entire system, the justice system, should work for Joshua and hopefully use this as a precedent going forward so that justice is served for every man. Election should be no reason why we should turn ourselves into enemies and behave as though, excuse me, we are animals. We are not animals. We are simply people of the same culture, same nation with diverse views, and we will not all agree on the same thing. So we should not have to resort to this, but we must set precedents. People must be prosecuted, and the late Joshua should get justice. Justice for Joshua, and let not the perpetrators go sky free and continue to gallivant the social media and socialize. Thank you.
Yeah, Robert.
Say guys, very quickly, I want to introduce you guys to Anthony. He's been listening to the show. He was a tourist in Liberia. I went to Liberia for the first time, so he's going to contribute, Dr. Peabody, to ensuring that we have the tourism show next week. So this is Anthony Cruzan, and he,
What's going on in Liberia?
That guy enjoy Liberia. That guy.
I know, right? All right, guys.
Thank you. No, I want you to stay on. I want you to stay on. Stay on real quick, please.
Yeah, sure.
So I wanted to just point out this.
Robert, my man, end it because my man, you can talk too long. Let me do my 1 minute. Man.
No, but let me end about. Okay, go
man,
ahead.
let me end it. You can talk too long, my man. Let me end it. Listen, guys. A good show. I know that the coming months, weeks and months, Union Party will have to live up to their the campaign message. So we're looking forward to them. Like I say, we'll not lower our expectation. And lastly, let me say this: your caller said it that the Papi spent 50,000. He was something like he was not broke. No, he was broke. He spent that money because of kickback that he get. So he gets a lot of kickback, and so he get money now to spend. I rest.
Look, Kevin, very funny. Look, quickly, I will use just 1 minute. I wanted to mention Ghana. Ghana in 2002 generated $2.5 billion from 914,892 international tourists. And that number was an increase from the almost 700,000 tourists that visited them. If you ever went to the Cape Coast Casa, they charging relatively close to $145, depending on the kind of a tour experience that you want. Every time I talk about tourism, I've been talking about this Tomalin since 2005. I have private conversations with folks because I understand what this means to the economy. Other countries have tried this, they have invested in this, and they have started from somewhere. And look where they are right now, $2.5 billion in tourism revenue. Do you know what that actually means? Do you know what that would mean for Liberia? Do you know what that would mean for private sector job growth? And when people talk about tourism, it's not just about international tourists coming to the country. It's about a structure that actually create memorable experiences, create jobs for folks, train folks accordingly. I mean, it encompasses just a whole lot. And so I want to close with this. I hope, and we can politicize this matter, I hope that this government seriously look at tourism from an economic policy perspective, from an educational or reform perspective, and one that can do great things for our country with regards to employing young people in our country. There are a lot that needs to be done. We have the professionals to do it. Get them done. But let me just say this: tourism and the expertise is not cheap. It's not cheap. If you think this is cheap business, it's not cheap business. It's a very expensive business. It's not cheap. You know what I mean? And so we have to put our country first, and we really have to take a serious look at that. We have everything we need to make Liberia a tourist attraction, but the government have got to invest. They've got to have a serious plan in place, and I look forward to that discussion next week. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, guys. Look, on a program note, please, just the Cash App there, the hashtag, the is Peabody 23, and already somebody just will be having a loaded show next week for Thursday on the 11th. Somebody already agreed to pay for to have an energy show on our energy sector. The person said that they will tell Liberian people how we can get light through our country, and they will show you how we can get current, that we have uninterrupted current. So they'll come on Thursday. The person they're going to pay for it, and they're going to explain to Liberian people how we get electricity and to boost our energy sector, so that the person mad at Liberia up to now, we're still in darkness. They're going to show us how it's going to happen. So we have a program on Tuesday. On Tuesday, the tourism program, the big one. So we'll have other guests will be here. On Wednesday, the vice president will be here, and on Thursday, the energy sector will be discussing the energy sector. So we have a loaded program next week, guys. Let us contribute to this tourism show for next week. Get the Cash App there, please. Peabody, keep it up there. And guys, thank you so much, Henry Jala. Thank you, brother. I know what it takes for you to be in the studio at this time. This is late, but brother, we're doing it for the national cause. You know, we gotta do it, brother. All part of the rescue.
Find a way. Get this young man a motorcycle. We gotta get the motorcycle.
Don't worry, Henry. We'll get a motorcycle. Yeah,
Henry, don't worry. They may enjoy.
Yeah, Robert, a man.
We gotta get your motorcycle to take you home, buddy.
Where you going tonight? So Henry, we'll rescue that country there. We'll rescue by him. We're gonna rescue. God bless you, man. Thank you. Have a good night.
You ain't getting no bicycle, you're getting car.
I got it. He didn't get one. And I tell you, on I know this, I would like to call your day today on the presentation here in the closing document. It's been very, very fascinating, educative, and informative alongside our guests, our panelists there in the diaspora. So we're hoping to be back here on Friday for the weekend presentation of the closing document. On behalf of the team, my name is Henry Jara. Bye-bye from my end.